Chapter 76. A frivolous voice, incomparably arrogant, filled with murderous aura, piercing through the inn, causing the surrounding 1,000 meters to fall into a deathly silence. What's going on? Why is there such a strong murderous aura at the meeting of heroes? Everyone in the inn looked at each other, discussing spiritedly. Let's go and take a look. Something seems to have happened at the meeting of heroes. Looks like they are fighting. This is the moment I've been waiting for. This meeting of heroes will be lively. I've been looking forward to this moment. Close to 100 experts of the bitter sea level and above rushed towards the center of the inn, their faces filled with schadenfreude. Many of them were filled with battle intent, ready to fight. The center of the inn was instantly surrounded. The enchantment was gone. A group of people looked at the people of the meeting of heroes, discovering that the blood stinger in Yi Qinghan's hand was emitting a sinister blood aura, looking coldly at everyone with the Qin Emperor. Who is this guy? Damn, he wants to fight against the heroes of the world alone. His cultivation is so low, he is actually a rookie who just broke into the bitter sea stage. How can he participate in the meeting of heroes? A rookie in the early stages of the bitter sea stage is bringing a little kid in the blood ignition stage to provoke everyone, and the opponents are Xian Wuyu and Tang Chu. Is this guy looking for death? Everyone was shocked and mocked one after another. That kid seems to be wearing the clothes of the Qin family. Why is Qin Haoren not helping him, but standing on the opposite side? I guess the kid made a mistake and caused everyone to be angry. Some people who did not know the truth began to make wild guesses, causing Yi Qinghan to turn around and glare. Instantly, there was complete silence. Since reason does not make sense, then use the most primitive method, fight. Since it is the meeting of heroes, no one is afraid of death. Let's take the next step. See you on the martial arts field. Lu Aotian said coldly. Wait, Yi Qinghan, since you are incompetent, then give up your disciple. I want this kid, I will make the decision for him. Lu Ning slowly stood up, staring at the pure Qin Emperor, and said disdainfully, This matter has nothing to do with you. Are you worthy to be his master? Yi Qinghan asked coldly. Ignorant brat, it's not up to you to decide if I'm worthy or not. It's up to the Qin Emperor to decide. Lu Ning looked disdainfully at everyone. Her aura became fierce, and the aura of a king erupted, suppressing all the heroes of the Owl Falling Star. She then looked down at Qin Shi Huang and said indifferently, Qin Shi Huang, I am Lu Ning, the princess of the Lu clan, a 5th-grade great clan. I am at the peak of the 9 stars of the Bitter Sea realm, and will break through to the Grotto Heaven realm at any time. I am willing to accept you as my disciple. If you are willing to follow me, I will guarantee that your Qin clan will prosper and no one will dare to bully you. Everyone was dumbfounded. No one would have thought that Lu Ning would snatch a disciple at this time. Moreover, she was snatching a blind person. It simply overturned everyone's worldview. Qin Haoren's face was filled with anger and jealousy. It was one thing for the Qin clan patriarch, Qin Ying, to help the Qin emperor, but Yi Qinghan had actually accepted this blind man as his disciple. Now, Lu Ning was actually trying to snatch him away in front of everyone. What was he? He's just a blind man with poor talent and poor battle prowess. He doesn't even have the slightest bit of manliness. What right does he have to suppress me in everything? Many people looked at Qin Shi Huang with envy. Even the elites were jealous. Why didn't Lu Ning extend an olive branch to them? Damn, this blind man is so lucky. He actually attracted the admiration of a king from a rich and powerful family. Why didn't this happen to me? Could it be that Lu Ning likes young men? Some of the youths outside shook their heads and sighed in jealousy. Lu Ning was at the peak of the Bitter Sea realm and was also an invincible king. She might even be stronger than Zero Chen. How could she not hear them? She immediately became angry and shouted coldly, Whoever dares to talk nonsense again, don't blame me for destroying you. When Lu Ning was angry, everything became silent. No one dared to say anything. Her character of bullying the weak and fearing the strong was comparable to that of the parrot. Fortunately, no one knew where the parrot went. Otherwise, there would definitely be a good show to watch today. Qin Shi Huang, do you choose Yi Qinghan or me? As long as you are a smart person, you should know how to choose. Lu Ning stared at Qin Shi Huang. She discovered that he was actually pulling Yi Qinghan's clothes tightly. She couldn't help but frown. I, Qin Shi Huang, only have one teacher in my life, and that is him. Qin Shi Huang replied with certainty. Yi Qinghan grinned. Although Qin Shi Huang was a bit weak, he was still very resolute in matters of right and wrong. If Qin Shi Huang betrayed him today, that would be really embarrassing. Idiot! You are incurable. I don't think you will have much of a future in this life. I don't want to take you in. Lu Ning was furious and mocked him. You are really an incurable trash. If the Qin family is in your hands, it will fall sooner or later. Qin Haoran saw that Qin Shi Huang did not hesitate to reject Lu Ning and became even angrier. His anger completely exploded. Pa! A crisp slap sounded in all directions. Qin Haoran spun a few times. He was hit until he was dizzy and confused. You are the real trash. If you dare to talk nonsense again and humiliate Qin Shi Huang, I don't mind sending you to hell. Yi Qinghan's figure flashed and returned to his original position. It was as if he had not moved at all. Hiss! Ling Chen and Lu Ning sucked in a breath of cold air. They did not see how Yi Qinghan attacked and how he returned to his original position. This speed was beyond their imagination. Qin Haoran was stunned. His body was trembling with anger. He roared angrily, You bastard, other than sneak attacks, what else can you do? Your disciples are also shameless. What a pair of bastards. Is that so? Even if I didn't sneak attack, what can you do to me? Yi Qinghan's lips curled up as he asked disdainfully. Qin Haoran was furious. He was about to mock Yi Qinghan, but his eyes met with Yi Qinghan's emotionless eyes. It was as if he was burned by the cold flames in Yi Qinghan's eyes. His pupils shrank and he did not dare to say another word. Trash will always be trash. I can't be bothered to bicker with you. But remember, from today onwards, Qin Shi Huang is my disciple. If you dare to say another word about him, I'll rip your head off. Yi Qinghan warned coldly. At this moment, in front of all the heroes of Owl Falling Star, Qin Haoran, as one of the top 10 existences of the younger generation, was humiliated like this. How could he stand it? He was about to explode and fight to the death with Yi Qinghan, but was stopped by Ling Chen. Today is the meeting of heroes. The people who destroyed the meeting of heroes have not been punished. Don't make trouble. If you have something to say it on the martial arts stage. Use your fists to speak. Ling Chen said in a low voice. Tang Chu and the others sneered. In terms of martial strength, they had so many experts. Would they be afraid of Yi Qinghan and Qin Shi Huang? Moreover, Qin Shi Huang's battle strength was negligible. Yi Qinghan was also at the 1 star of the bitter sea stage. What was the point of being fast? Xian Wuyu alone was enough to suppress them. Okay, let's go to the martial arts stage. Today, my women have been humiliated like this. There must be an explanation. Tang Chu said in a muffled voice, flicking his sleeves and leaving with Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu was incomparably arrogant. Before leaving, she swept a provocative glance at Yi Qinghan and Qin Shi Huang. The murderous intent and hatred in her eyes was self-evident. Yi Qinghan put his arm around Qin Shi Huang's shoulder, his large hand touching his forehead, and whispered, Don't make a sound. I'll pass on a martial technique to you. It's called the Absorbing Soul Roar. It's a grade 5 martial technique. Integrate it into the zither and use the zither to attack. Later, kill those women for me. Qin Shi Huang's heart thumped wildly, his face and ears turning red. When he heard that he was going to kill people, he was first taken aback. Then he felt Yi Qinghan's cold aura and nodded gravely. Your personality is too soft. That's why so many people bully you. Next time, whoever bullies and humiliates you, kill them directly. No matter who they are, you have to kill them even if you have to risk your life. Only in this way will others respect you and be afraid of you. Do you understand? Yi Qinghan continued to instruct. He clearly wanted to cultivate Qin Shi Huang into a madman like him. Qin Shi Huang did not hesitate, choosing to believe in Yi Qinghan. He continued to nod, his breathing quickening. The square of Flaming Cloud City, with a radius of 1,000 meters, was a huge martial arts stage. It was usually used for competitions between clans. It could withstand the attacks of the peak of the Bitter Sea stage. At this moment, it was surrounded by the Fire Qilin army. Cultivators below the Bitter Sea stage could not come near. Only those at the Bitter Sea stage had the qualifications to come and watch the battles of the Meeting of Heroes. In the audience, Tang Chu looked down at everyone. His battle robe fluttered in the wind, incomparably arrogant. "Xiao Yu, when you have the chance, kill Qin Shi Huang," Tang Chu said coldly. He is a direct descendant of the Qin clan. "I'm afraid." Xiao Yu's expression changed. She was not afraid of humiliating Qin Shi Huang and Yi Qinghan, but she did not dare to kill Qin Shi Huang. "What are you afraid of?" Moreover, this is the Meeting of Heroes. Life and death are decided by the heavens. Clans are not allowed to participate. Moreover, Qin Haoren is asking me for help. Tang Chu sneered. Looking at Yi Qinghan and Qin Shi Huang who were coming from afar, a murderous intent surged in his eyes. "Don't worry, as long as you do this well, your husband will give you everything you want. The Xiao family will definitely become a third-rank family." Tang Chu's eyes shone brightly as he teased Xiao Yu with a hoarse voice. "Good. Listen to your husband. As long as you are behind me, I'm not afraid of anything." Xiao Yu's eyes lit up as she said excitedly. Tang Chu sneered and thought to himself, "Xiao Yu, you killed Qin Shi Huang. I will take care of Xiao clan for you. You won't die in vain." Xiao Yu obviously did not know that Tang Chu had decided to give up on her. He wanted to use her to kill Qin Shi Huang and then kill her. Not only would he get the benefits promised by Qin Haoren, but he would also not draw the flames of war to himself. Killing two birds with one stone. Tang Chu was a smart person. He obviously would not offend the huge Qin clan for a small Xiao Yu. This was the scheme of an official's disciple. Ling Chen and Wang Shizhi came to the judges' stand and looked down at the martial arts arena. They were prepared to control everything. As the host, Lu Outyin naturally stood at the judges' stand. Zhao Wuji came to Yi Qinghan's side and said indifferently, "Qinghan, I'll help you. Consider it as thanks for your help today." Zhao Wuji, one of the top 3 of the younger generation, stood on Yi Qinghan's side. Yi Qinghan was finally not alone. After all, Zhao Wuji's battle strength was the strongest other than the 2 emperors. Yi Qinghan smiled and nodded. Even if he did not need Zhao Wuji's help, he was touched by his attitude. After all, no one was optimistic about him and Qin Shi Huang. However, Zhao Wuji stood up without hesitation. This was enough to explain everything. Chapter 77. There was a sea of people in the martial arts arena, the noise spreading far and wide. The majority of the people stood behind Tang Chu and Xian Wuyu, while Yi Qinghan only had the Qin Emperor and Zhao Wuji by his side. The situation had become one-sided. Tang Chu and Xian Wuyu smiled evilly, looking at Yi Qinghan with disdain. "The winner is the king, the loser is the bandit. Since you all agreed to use battle to decide who is right and who is wrong, then use your fists to do the talking." Lu Outyin said coldly. "Okay, I agree," Tang Chu said without hesitation. In his view, there was him, Qin Haoren, Xian Wuyu, Di Kong and the other top 10 experts here, while the other side only had Zhao Wuji. No matter how strong he was, he could not be stronger than a few people taking turns to fight. As for Yi Qinghan and the Qin Emperor, they were people who would definitely die and could be ignored. Yi Qinghan clenched the blood thorn and nodded. The killing intent in his eyes was restrained and could steal people's souls. "Then let's say in advance, will we fight to the death or will we stop?" Lu Outyin asked. "Fight to the death," Yi Qinghan coldly replied. Everyone was taken aback. They did not expect Yi Qinghan to be even stronger than Tang Chu and the others. He actually chose to fight to the death. Lu Outyin suddenly frowned. Was he courting death? The other side had so many people, even if they used their heads, they could exhaust the 3 of them to death. Moreover, the Qin Emperor was still a child, and Yi Qinghan was a 1-star Bitter Sea stage rookie. Ling Chen also frowned. He did not expect Yi Qinghan to be so impulsive. However, he did not step out to stop him. As a king, he must be impartial, otherwise how could he convince the masses? Lu Ning sneered, thinking, since you want to die, then die. But I will definitely take this disciple. When you die and the Qin Emperor is seriously injured, it will be the time for me to act." Tang Chu and the others laughed. Qin Haoran did not conceal his killing intent at all. His hatred for the Qin Emperor had obviously reached an unsuppressible level. Ying Feng retreated to the side, choosing to remain neutral. Up until now, he was the only one who knew Yi Qinghan's true combat strength. If they truly fought, it was unknown who would emerge victorious. As a rogue cultivator, Zhao Wuji had always been a lone ranger. He had no friends at all. At this moment, no one was willing to help. At this moment, the situation was very awkward. The three of them were fighting against nearly 20 experts, and 4 of them were ranked in the top 10. This was an unequal fight. Yi Qinghan was arrogant and showed no signs of fear. He said to Qin Shi Huang in a low voice, "You fuse the martial techniques first. I will buy you some time." The Qin Emperor nodded seriously and replied, "Be careful, master. Be careful. We'll fight one by one and take turns to rest. If you can't hold on, don't force yourself. With your cultivation level, no one has the right to laugh at you." Zhao Wuji reminded in a deep voice, "Don't worry, I will make them pay the price today. I will use blood to tell them that no one can trample on my people." Yi Qinghan's voice was deep and hoarse. He walked directly to the center of the training field with the blood thorn in his hand. His black hair flew behind him and his battle robe fluttered in the wind. His bleak figure made people feel stubbornness and arrogance. His back seemed to be telling the vicissitudes of life, making people's hearts tremble. Lu Ning squinted her eyes and looked at Yi Qinghan's back. Her heart trembled. She took a step back and said in a low voice, "Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. His back is too similar. But he has already died in battle. Yi Qinghan, how long are you going to torture me? Why is there a man who looks so much like you here? Your temperament, aura, and your unruly character, your disdainful eyes, your vicissitudes of life, they appear in my mind all the time. Do you still remember the king naming competition 5 years ago? Ever since I saw you for the first time, I knew that no one would be able to shake my heart in this life. But the weather is unpredictable. You have offended 3 big shots of Owl Dragon region, hundreds of great revered martial artists. I have the will but not the powers." Lu Ning's eyes were filled with a layer of mist. Looking at Yi Qinghan's back, she no longer despised him. Instead, there was a different kind of emotion. No one cared about the change in Lu Ning's mood. They were all shocked by Yi Qinghan's back. The tyranny and indifference that came from his back made people gasp in admiration. Is this person really at the 1 star of the Bitter Sea stage? Why do I feel like I'm looking at an old monster that has lived for thousands of years? The spectators asked in surprise. I also have this feeling. Looking at his back, I feel like I can see the existence of the Tao. What is going on? The crowd did not understand, and Lu Ning did not understand even more. Being shaken by Yi Qinghan's back, she was dizzy and almost fell down. The difference between Lu Ning and Yi Qinghan in their previous life was very large. They could only silently admire each other. In this life, they did not know each other. But if she recognized him, Yi Qinghan would absolutely not let her go. He would not hesitate to kill her, even if he had to use all his resources to kill her. Yi Qinghan stood in the center, pointing his sword at Tang Chu. He said in a cold voice, "Send someone to die. Today, I will kill Xiao Yu and the others until they admit their mistakes. Otherwise, you will be buried with them for their mistakes." Crazy, arrogant, cold, heartless. Now Yi Qinghan could only be described with such adjectives. An existence of 1 star of the Bitter Sea stage had declared war against more than 10 existences of 7 stars of the Bitter Sea stage and above. Moreover, he spoke such arrogant words that people did not dare to mock him. Tang Chu's face changed slightly, and then he disdained. Such an existence was not worthy of him to take action. Xian Wuyu was also too lazy to take action. He just wanted Yi Qinghan to die. It did not matter who killed him. The most important thing was that they had to guard against Zhao Wuji going crazy. Tianlong, you go and kill this reckless guy. Tang Chu said coldly to an expert of 6 stars of the Bitter Sea stage behind him. Tai Tianlong was 2 meters tall and weighed 200 kilograms. He was a man of iron and was as strong as a black bear. He was absolutely the most powerful existence in the body refining school. At this moment, looking at Yi Qinghan, his eyes were full of disdain. "Don't worry, such a rookie, I can crush him to death with one hand." Tai Tianlong was incomparably arrogant. Carrying a sledgehammer that weighed 500 kilograms, he stepped into the center of the martial arts practice field. The slate on the ground was shaking. Boom, boom, boom. Tai Tianlong moved forward like a mountain cannon. Every step he took made people panic. He deserved to be ranked in the top 30 on the Owl Fall Star. With his body alone, once he got close to the 9 stars of the Bitter Sea, he could crush him to death. Yi Qinghan's pupils flashed coldly, and he let Tai Tianlong come closer. Zhao Wuji was shocked, but he could not warn him. After all, this was a fair fight to the death. Tai Tianlong's body was unparalleled. Within 10 meters, he could attack. Even Zhao Wuji would not allow him to come closer. Otherwise, even if he won, both of them would suffer. The two were 30 meters apart. Yi Qinghan still did not launch an attack. Instead, he held the bloody thorn calmly and waited for him to come. This guy is too arrogant. He dares to let Tai Tianlong come close to him like this. He's dead. As long as Tai Tianlong comes closer by 10 meters, even if his martial arts are incredible, he can't reverse the situation. No one was optimistic about Yi Qinghan. They all opened their eyes and waited for Tai Tianlong to tear Yi Qinghan apart. Boom, boom, boom. The Tianlong ran wildly like a giant tiger, rolling up the airflow and roaring the wind. He was very powerful. 15 meters. Tai Tianlong swung the sledgehammer. Like a meteor catching up with the moon, his body moved forward 7 or 8 meters in an instant. He rushed to the front of Yi Qinghan in the twinkling of an eye. The sledgehammer rubbed against Yi Qinghan's head with flames coming out. The crowd screamed. Even a 4th-class ferocious beast would die on the spot under this hammer. Yi Qinghan's weak body was likely to be smashed into meat paste. Whoosh, boom, a figure cut across the martial arts practice field. Then, the mountain-like sledgehammer hit the martial arts practice field and shook it. The underground formation burst out, emitting colorful light, and blocked the devastating attack of the sledgehammer. Tai Tianlong stared blankly for a moment before realizing that Yi Qinghan was nowhere to be seen. Alarmed, he swung the hammer behind him. Humph! A cold snort spread all over the martial arts practice field. The gloomy blood thorn, like thunder and lightning, was unstoppable and directly penetrated Tai Tianlong's right waist. Tai Tianlong screamed. His waist shrank to the left subconsciously. His right leg was on the ground and he lost his center of gravity. Yi Qinghan smiled coldly. He lifted his foot and kicked the outside of Tai Tianlong's right knee. With a crisp crack, Tai Tianlong's bucket-thick thigh broke and he fell to the ground directly. Although Tai Tianlong screamed and roared after falling to the ground, he didn't completely give up his defense. He swung the sledgehammer toward Yi Qinghan. Swish! Yi Qinghan's figure flashed and retreated more than 10 meters. He looked at Tai Tianlong coldly and waited for him to stand up with the corners of his mouth raised. It was too fast. It only took them a blink of an eye from the beginning to the end of the fight. Lu Ning's eyes were like torches. She saw that the cultivation method Yi Qinghan used was the ethereal fairy commonly used by big families in the endless universe. But only big families could afford it. After all, it was a secret skill of the top 3rd rank. It was comparable to the existence of the 4th rank. Stand up and kill him, Tang Chu roared. But Tai Tianlong felt that his right leg was no longer his own. The sharp pain made his divine awareness disordered and sleepy. Now he could only force himself to stay awake. He held the sledgehammer in one hand and supported the ground with the other, moving backward constantly. Yi Qinghan looked at Tai Tianlong indifferently and didn't kill him. If he had wanted to kill him just now, he would have had the chance. But now he was just stalling for time to give Emperor Qin more time to integrate the soul-absorbing roar. Stand up. I'm not interested in killing a man lying on the ground, Yi Qinghan said coldly. Tai Tianlong gritted his teeth. The bloody hole in his waist kept spurting blood. His leg bones were twisted. He might not even be able to stand up, let alone fighting capacity. Seeing the killing intent in Yi Qinghan's eyes, Tai Tianlong was a little frightened and said hurriedly, "I admit defeat. But this was a fight to the death." It was useless to beg for mercy, because Yi Qinghan already had the intention to kill him. What was more, if Yi Qinghan was pale, he might have died already. Admit defeat? This is a fight to the death. From the moment you came on the stage, you should know that death has come. Yi Qinghan held the bloody thorn and stepped on Tai Tianlong. "Yi Qinghan, you're too arrogant. Tai Tianlong has admitted defeat. What else do you want?" Tang Chu scolded coldly. "This is called arrogance? Then I'll show you what real arrogance is." Yi Qinghan asked in reply. He held the sword and stabbed at Tai Tianlong. Tai Tianlong was wrapped by the virtual shadow and couldn't be distinguished from the real one. He had nowhere to hide. Chapter 78. The martial arts arena was dead silent, without the slightest sound. Thousands of people were staring at the center of the battlefield. Wang Shizhi and Ling Chen, the two great kings, were standing on the side, ready to fight at any time. No one could intervene in this battle. The martial arts arena was dyed red. After Tai Tianlong's last blow, he directly threw the iron hammer at Yi Qinghan. Unfortunately, Yi Qinghan's figure flashed, evading it. Yi Qinghan seemed to be disorderly with his sword, but in fact he was using the sword as a blade. The 12 moves of the blade technique were like moving clouds and flowing water, leaving nearly 100 scars on Tai Tianlong's body. Tai Tianlong was almost dismembered, his arm was cut off, and his pupils shot out a look of horror, despair and resentment before he died. The iron hammer was thrown more than 10 meters away, looking extremely brutal. The crowd had never seen such a way of killing. Yi Qinghan almost used the most torturous means, leaving more than 100 scars on Tai Tianlong's body, draining his blood. Until the last moment, Tai Tianlong exploded and died on the spot, tasting the pain and despair of the human world. Swoosh! Yi Qinghan kicked away Tai Tianlong's body, majestically, extremely arrogantly, pointing his sword at Tang Chu, he said in a cold voice, "Do you see? This is called fighting to the death." This was called provocation. With the power of one person, he provoked the heroes of Owl Falls Star. So what if it was Tang Chu? So what if it was Yu Wuyu? He looked down on him with his sword. All the people at the lower level of the Bitter Sea stage felt their blood boiling. This was called truly invincible among the same level. One star of the Bitter Sea stage had crushed Tai Tianlong at close range. But no one applauded, no one dared to sweep away the face of Yu Wuyu and Tang Chu on such an occasion, but no one criticized Yi Qinghan's cruelty. After all, in a battle to the death, whoever falls down must die. To seek revenge for the smallest grievance, to be cruel and ruthless to the enemy, to protect friends and family to the extreme, this was Yi Qinghan's nature. He never thought of himself as a benevolent person. As long as it was an enemy, he would kill. Every move must see blood. Good. Yi Qinghan, you have successfully angered me. Today, I'll let you understand what it means to fight to the death. Tang Chu's face was livid, and the anger in his eyes almost condensed into a solid form. He shouted to a young man who looked like a skinny monkey behind him, "Sun Ke, you go. He's just a bit faster than you, but I don't believe he can be faster than your invincible limbo." Top grade 3rd grade martial technique, unique step on the waves. When one reached the 5th star of the Bitter Sea stage and above, one could walk on the waves. It was a famous speed-type secret technique on the Owl Falls Star, a secret technique unique to the Sun family. In terms of speed, other than Ling Chen, no one else was qualified. Haha, you want to compete with me in speed? I'll torture you to death today. Sun Ke had a sly smile on his face as he leveled the sky with his sword. His sword aura was like a rainbow as it transformed into lightning and thunder. His afterimages were everywhere on the martial arts field. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, the afterimages were so fast that it was impossible to distinguish the real body. After a long time, the afterimages dissipated. The onlookers were terrified and worried for Yi Qinghan. The corners of Yi Qinghan's mouth curled upwards. He was not affected by the afterimages. His eyes were closed, and his divine sense was locked onto Sun Quebec. No matter how he changed his position, he could not escape from his divine sense. His right hand trembled, and the blood thorn changed hands. He was now holding the sword in his left hand. The veins on his right hand were bulging, and his true yuan was flowing. The specks of silver light were captivating. What is he doing? Why is he holding the sword with his left hand? Is he left-handed? I don't know what he's doing, but I know that Sun Ke is playing with Yi Qinghan. Otherwise, Yi Qinghan would have died long ago. Haha, you're right. This kind of rookie does not have an advantage in speed. How can he fight with an existence above the 6th star of the Bitter Sea stage? Sun Ke's laughter resounded throughout the martial arts field, but no one could tell where Sun Ke was. Zhao Wuji clenched the sword in his hand, his fingertips moving the sword hilt, producing a crisp sword hum. Evidently, he had decided to act when Yi Qinghan was in the most danger, even if it meant offending Ling Chen. Lu Ning slowly stood up and came to the front. The crowd immediately made way for her. Xiudat Sun Ke's speed was extremely fast. He circled behind Yi Qinghan and stabbed his sword. The sword chi pierced through Yi Qinghan's clothes and immediately retreated. Then he laughed again. Haha, do you want to see Yi Qinghan running naked? Everyone in the Tang Chu camp said in unison. They could not wait to go up and humiliate Yi Qinghan. Then I'll fulfill your wish. I'll send his clothes flying with my sword, and let him die in despair and shame. Sun Ke was rampant. He had a 4th-grade yuan recovery pill in his mouth, and was not afraid of exhausting his true yuan. Yi Qinghan looked at Sun Ke's arrogance and could not help but sneer. Since he wanted to run naked, then he would let him die an even more ugly death. The Qin emperor hugged his zither, his weak body trembling slightly. He respectfully asked Zhao Wuji, Senior Zhao, can my master win? I don't know. His speed is indeed fast, but this Sun Ke's speed is even faster than mine. He is the fastest existence in the Bitter Sea stage. Unless your master still has some hidden trump cards, the chances of him losing are very high. Zhao Wuji shook his head, not optimistic about Yi Qinghan. Xiudat Sun Ke sent out another sword attack, but it still did not pierce through Yi Qinghan's defense. It only sent a piece of his clothes flying, causing the crowd to laugh and laugh. Yi Qinghan did not move at all. His divine sense was constantly tracking Sun Ke's movements, preparing to kill him in one blow, leaving him no room to fight back. Ling Chen glanced over and saw Lu Ning beside him. He asked, Who do you think will die, fellow Lu? Yi Qinghan. Lu Ning replied without hesitation. Why do you say that? Until now, Yi Qinghan should still have some hidden trump cards. Ling Chen asked curiously, If he had some hidden trump cards, why would he go through so much trouble? He has clearly given up. Lu Ning said disdainfully, Nonsense. My master will not lose. Qin Shi Huang hugged his zither tightly and stared angrily at Lu Ning. The birthmark on his palm started to heat up. The faint golden light was covered by his long robe, not revealing his special constitution. Stinky brat, if not for your pure heart, would I even like you? What right does this kind of trash have to be your master? Lu Ning clenched her teeth and scolded him in disappointment. Shut up. You are not allowed to scold my master. Qin Shi Huang's aura turned cold as he said fiercely. Qin Shi Huang's youthful and pure face was extremely pitiful. He did not look like a person who could be ruthless. Now, even if he was ruthless, he gave off a demonic aura. Ignorant. Lu Ning was flustered and exasperated, but there was nothing she could do. She loved and hated Qin Shi Huang's bad temper. In the center of the martial arts arena, Sun Ke once again burst out with a terrifying speed. He was about to stab out for the 3rd time. Lu Ning's finger trembled and a silver scale whip appeared in her hand. She lifted her leg and was about to shoot it into the center of the martial arts arena. What are you doing? Ling Chen's figure flashed and the broken dragon blade sliced through the air, blocking Lu Ning. Sun Ke can humiliate Yi Qinghan's body, but he cannot humiliate his name. I'm going to kill Yi Qinghan and end him completely. Lu Ning replied coldly. Ling Chen, get out of the way. Otherwise, Don't blame me for being impolite. No, this is an internal matter of the Owl Falling Star meeting of heroes. You cannot interfere. Other than today, I will not interfere with anything you do. Ling Chen refused decisively. Everyone was stunned. They did not expect Lu Ning to also want to kill Yi Qinghan. They could not help but sympathize with her. Just as everyone was in a daze, Sun Ke stabbed out with his sword. The tip of the sword contained a dense true energy sword qi. He was about to tear apart Yi Qinghan's clothes and make him run naked. Sun Ke shouted as he became one with his sword. His unique rippling steps were displayed to the extreme. Countless figures rushed towards Yi Qinghan from all directions. Yi Qinghan also moved at this moment. His fist was covered in silver. He suddenly twisted his body and attacked towards the left. One could even clearly see the light red flame on his fist. Boom! Sun Ke's eyes were filled with fear. It was as if he was going to drill under Yi Qinghan's fist. The two of them were extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, they collided. There was no time to dodge and his sword missed. Yi Qinghan's chi hit Sun Ke's body and tore his clothes to shreds. Not even his underwear was left. Puchi, downward strike. He raised the sword in his left hand and directly cut off Sun Ke's right arm. Then, his right fist turned into a palm. Using the inch strike technique, he once again exploded with power. Sun Ke was pushed back dozens of steps and fell into the crowd. Sun Ke was lying naked in the middle of the crowd. His right arm had been cut off by Yi Qinghan from his shoulder. Blood poured out like a fountain, and his Dao heart was shattered. He danced around wildly as he ran through the crowd. His expression was ferocious. He had gone mad. This is impossible. I won. Did you see? Everyone retreated and made a path. Sun Ke ran to the center of the martial arts arena. He was naked for everyone to see. Lu Ning and the other female cultivators were furious. They quickly turned around. This ending was somewhat different from what everyone had expected. There was indeed someone running naked. However, it was not Yi Qinghan. It was Sun Quebec. Not only was he running naked, he was also crazy. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air and turned to look at the running Sun Quebec. There were some doubts in their eyes. They were all attracted by Lu Ning and Ling Chen's attacks. They did not see how Yi Qinghan attacked. What's going on? This is impossible. Tang Chu was furious. He turned to look at Xian Wuyu and Qin Haoren. Obviously, he was also distracted. I didn't see. Xian Wuyu was speechless. He thought that Lu Ning and Ling Chen would have a conflict, so he diverted his attention. He did not expect that he would miss the most important part. I didn't see it either. Qin Haoren's eyes were filled with killing intent and hatred. He did not expect Yi Qinghan to be able to survive this. For a moment, there was no other sound in the martial arts arena except for Sun Ke's screaming and running. Everyone looked at each other. They wanted to know how Yi Qinghan had beaten Sun Ke to such a state. Master will win. Qin Haoren could not see that Sun Ke's clothes were torn, but he knew that Sun Ke's soul was in chaos. He was completely crazy. He could not help but be overjoyed. Yi Qinghan was indifferent. He did not show any joy. It was as if he had defeated an ant. He did not know how many people's Dao heart had been shattered. Tang Chu, Qin Haoren, you sent these trash to die. Why don't you come and fight with me personally? Yi Qinghan stared at Qin Haoren. He was ready to pave the way for Qin Haoren and kill this incompetent brother of his. He said coldly, Qin Haoren, didn't you say that I only know how to sneak attack? Now fight with me openly. I will give you a chance to take revenge. Qin Haoren's breathing stagnated. He really didn't have the guts to fight with Yi Qinghan right now. He muttered a few words and then hesitated. However, he didn't have a reason to refuse. Cold sweat flowed down his forehead. Chapter 79. Yi Qinghan was crazy to the extreme, killing 2 strong enemies in a row, and finally directly declaring war on the top 10 elites. Qin Haoren did not dare to accept the challenge, which made everyone stunned and speechless. Qin Haoren was an 8-star bitter sea expert, while Yi Qinghan was only a 1-star bitter sea expert. Yi Qinghan looked at Qin Haoren's performance and could not help but sneer. What? You don't dare? If you don't dare, you and Tang Chu can come together, and I will take it together. This is called arrogance. One star of the Bitter Sea actually challenged 2 of the top 10 experts at the same time, and in front of so many people. Unless Tang Chu and Qin Haoren were really shameless, how could they join hands to deal with Yi Qinghan? Looking for death. Lu Ning snorted contemptuously, as if she could see the scene of Yi Qinghan being slaughtered. Tang Chu and Qin Haoren's faces were ashen, looking at the crowd pointing at them, extremely angry. Tang Chu coldly glanced at Qin Haoren and found that even though he had lost face, he was still unwilling to go on stage. Tang Chu could not help but snort. Brother Qin, he has already challenged you. Do you really want to fight with me before you dare to fight? Qin Haoren's expression changed. Looking at the mocking and amused expressions of the crowd, he could not help but change his aura. A 3rd-grade spiritual sword appeared in his hand, and he said disdainfully, I was just recuperating. A 1-star Bitter Sea rookie dares to declare war on me, simply courting death. Yi Qinghan coldly looked at Qin Haoren. This kind of trash who had not overcome his heart demon, even if he could break into the Grotto Heaven realm, he would not be able to advance any further, so he did not care at all. If he was facing an 8-star Bitter Sea expert, Yi Qinghan would definitely not be so strong. Qin Haoren, I heard that your Haoren sword technique has reached perfection, to the point of becoming one with the sword. Show it to me. Yi Qinghan was disdainful. The Haoren sword technique required a pure heart, and only the pure Haoren Qi could display the Haoren sword technique to the extreme. With Qin Haoren's stingy mentality, it would be good if he could display half of its power. As you wish. Qin Haoren was furious. No one had ever looked down on him like this since he started cultivating. Today, he had actually been mocked by Yi Qinghan, a child with an extremely low cultivation level. How could he not be angry? Whoosh, the 36 forms of the Haoren sword art. Qin Haoren's silhouette was faintly discernible. His sword moves emitted a vast sword qi that was as natural as flowing water. He was as ethereal as an immortal, causing the crowd to cheer. Unfortunately, in Yi Qinghan's eyes, such a sword move had too many flaws. There was no need to waste time. Open! Yi Qinghan roared, the blood thorn chopped out like a knife, and instantly hit Qin Haoren's Haoren sword. A 3rd-grade martial artist against a 3rd-grade martial artist. The aftermath spread out in all directions. An ear-piercing sound pierced through everyone's eardrums. Even an emperor like Lu Ning frowned, not to mention the others. They covered their ears and retreated, frowning. Bang! With a crisp sound, the blood thorn in Yi Qinghan's hand broke. The tip of the sword shot into the void and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Qin Haoren was after all an 8th star of the Bitter Sea. His 3rd-grade Haoren sword was wrapped in vital essence. As he clashed with Yi Qinghan, his advantage was obvious. Seeing the blood thorn in Yi Qinghan's hand break, he could not help but sneer. Die! Whoosh 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 that the Haoren sword qi was cold and sharp, drawing out 3 sword flowers. Like a black hole, they rolled towards Yi Qinghan. The center of the 3 sword flowers suddenly shot out a sword qi, aiming for his throat. Yi Qinghan's eyes were like torches. His figure flickered, dodging the sharpest sword qi. Throwing away the broken blood thorn, his palms slapped towards the Haoren sword from both sides. Break for me! Yi Qinghan's veins popped out, his body erupting with a terrifying power. His body leaned back, directly sticking close to Qin Haoren's body. His palms came together, clamping down on the Haoren sword. His palms crossed, suddenly exerting force. His vital essence poured out, rushing into the Haoren sword through the gap in the sword. Bang! With another ear-piercing sound of a short sword, the Haoren sword broke, shocking everyone speechless. Yi Qinghan had broken a 3rd-grade Haoren sword with his body alone. Although there was a gap in the Haoren sword, it was still incredible. Qin Haoren's pupils shrank. He did not expect Yi Qinghan to be able to predict his movement trajectory. All of this was completely beyond his imagination. Yi Qinghan did not care whether Qin Haoren was stunned or not. He took the broken Haoren sword and stabbed it into Qin Haoren's right arm. Qin Haoren screamed in pain, the sword hilt in his hand falling to the ground. Bang! Yi Qinghan swung his fist and punched Qin Haoren's face. Qin Haoren's originally handsome face was instantly bruised and several of his teeth were knocked out. Pa pa pa! After a few consecutive slaps, Qin Haoren was completely stunned. Yi Qinghan did not intend to let Qin Haoren go. His speed was extremely fast. High whip, knee, left hook, right elbow, each attack penetrated into Qin Haoren's flesh. The fierce Zhen Yuan and steel-like fists pierced Qin Haoren's soul. Qin Haoren had no chance to resist. He could only inject Zhen Yuan into his arms to protect his head. He wanted to protect the fatal places and wait for an opportunity to counterattack. Kneel down for me. Yi Qinghan's vigorous body erupted with a power that could destroy everything. His hind leg kicked towards Qin Haoren's leg. With a cracking sound, Qin Haoren's body staggered and almost fell down. However, Yi Qinghan's second attack had already arrived. Bang! His iron arm turned into a heavy wild blade, with the momentum of 1,000 caddies, fiercely chopped towards Qin Haoren's head. Qin Haoren was shocked. He was powerless to escape. He could only take a step back and raise his right arm to hit Yi Qinghan's iron arm. Kacha! Bang! Even though Qin Haoren's arm was wrapped in Zhen Yuan, it was still instantly crushed by Yi Qinghan's attack. The bones in his arm were immediately broken. A mournful scream resounded through the void, causing people to tremble. However, this was not the end. Yi Qinghan's iron arm was like a hot knife through butter. After breaking Qin Haoren's arm, there was still more than half of its strength. It smashed towards Qin Haoren's neck, causing Qin Haoren's legs to be unable to support themselves. He could only kneel down to reduce the force. Otherwise, Yi Qinghan's attack would have broken his neck. Bang! Qin Haoren, who was strong as one of the top 10 experts, knelt on the ground after 3 moves. His arms were broken and his knees were shattered. Only his left arm could still move. Yi Qinghan was majestic. He had transformed into the Eternal War Emperor. His black hair and battle robes fluttered in the wind. The entire martial arts arena was completely silent. Even if I didn't launch a sneak attack, what can you do to me? Yi Qinghan looked at Qin Haoren kneeling in front of him and asked coldly. Mr. Yi, Haoren is wrong. Please spare my life for the sake of my younger brother. Qin Haoren knelt on the ground and begged in horror. How could the dignified chief disciple of the Qin clan die in battle like this? His good days were yet to come. Now was the time to lose some people and save his life. Yi Qinghan looked down at Qin Haoren. His eyes were full of disdain when he saw Qin Haoren begging for mercy. My son, I am your brother. Quickly, beg Mr. Yi. Qin Haoren felt that Yi Qinghan's killing intent had not dissipated. Instead, it had become even stronger. He quickly begged for mercy from the Qin Emperor. The martial arts arena was dead silent. No one mocked Qin Haoren. It was an honor to be defeated by Yi Qinghan. Moreover, Qin Haoren had blocked a few moves. Wu Xian and Tang Chu's pupils shrank. They finally understood that Yi Qinghan had the right to be arrogant. It was reasonable for Qin Haoren to beg for mercy. After all, he was related to the Qin Emperor. Yi Qinghan would have to think twice before killing him. The Qin Emperor pursed his lips. His moon-like eyes did not waver at all. He took a step forward and stepped onto the martial arts arena. My son, I know I was wrong. But I was really thinking for the Qin clan. After today, I will make it up to you. As soon as Qin Haoren saw Qin Shihuang come out, he begged for mercy again. He knew Qin Shihuang well. Qin Shihuang had a weak temperament and lacked a sense of security. He would repay anyone who treated him well with all his heart. Therefore, he could definitely persuade Qin Shihuang by using the right remedy. Yi Qinghan saw that Qin Haoren was still lying to the Qin Emperor. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He leaned to one side and said to the Qin Emperor, My son, kill him. Yi Qinghan was ruthless enough. Not only did he want to kill Qin Haoren, but he also wanted the Qin Emperor to do it himself. He had trained him to be decisive and ruthless. Qin Haoren almost collapsed when he heard this. He knew that he could not persuade Yi Qinghan. He had to continue begging the Qin Emperor. The Qin Emperor hesitated for a moment. He was not stupid. He knew that Qin Haoren was only asking for a temporary solution. When he had the chance, he would kill him and Yi Qinghan without hesitation. Therefore, the Qin Emperor lifted his slender fingers and pressed them on the zither. "My son, do you really have the heart to kill me? Have you thought about our parents' feelings? They will hate you to death." Qin Haoren's eyes flashed with a hint of hatred, but he quickly concealed it. The Qin Emperor's small hands trembled. He bowed to Yi Qinghan and begged, "Teacher, please forgive him this time. I don't want my parents to be sad." The Qin Emperor's gentle and kind personality made him compromise again. Even though he had never received any love or care from his parents, he still wanted to express his goodwill to them. He hoped that they would change their view of him. Even a blind person had the right to receive their parents' love. Yi Qinghan saw the Qin Emperor's soft heart and begged him. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Zither immortal crimson demon physique. He was ostracized just because he was blind. He couldn't tolerate such a clan. "You should know that he will not let you go if he has the chance." Yi Qinghan warned him coldly. "It's okay. I have a clear conscience. But killing my brother and incurring the hatred of my parents is not my intention. Moreover, I will have the protection of my teacher in the future. I am not afraid." The Qin Emperor gritted his teeth. Although he was sad, many people could feel the happiness and dependence in his heart when he mentioned the name of his teacher. Yi Qinghan smiled faintly. He didn't want to make things difficult for the Qin Emperor. He poured out the vital essence from his palm and grabbed the broken sword on the ground. He then said to Qin Haoren, "Do you see this? Without a benevolent heart, how can you practice the Haoren sword art well? You look weak, but you can't even withstand a single blow. A person like you is not suitable for cultivation. I will spare your life, but I will destroy your sea of qi and let you enjoy the good fortune of being the young master of the Qin clan." "You can't destroy my sea of qi." Qin Haoren was frightened. He slapped his butt on the ground and screamed in despair. Yi Qinghan snorted coldly. He infused the broken sword with vital essence and stabbed it at Qin Haoren's sea of qi. Qin Haoren was in despair. He didn't have the strength to dodge. Moreover, Yi Qinghan's speed was too fast. However, no one expected that at the most critical moment, a horrifying power suppressed the entire martial arts arena. The cold power rushed toward Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan's breath stagnated. He pulled back his hand and pulled the Qin Emperor to the edge of the martial arts arena. His eyes flickered. A figure flashed in his eyes and landed beside Qin Haoren. Chapter 80. The energy outside the arena was fierce and powerful. Yi Qinghan's breathing stagnated, and he pulled back his hand. He pulled the Qin Emperor and dashed to the edge of the arena. A bright light flashed in his eyes, and a figure appeared beside Qin Haoren. "Qining." Yi Qinghan looked at Qin clan's patriarch coldly and clenched his fist. "Mr. Yi, Haoren should be punished for his mistake. However, destroying his qi sea is too serious. I believe that he has learned his lesson and will change for the better. Furthermore, I will punish him again. Please be merciful." Qin Ing said indifferently. Qin Haoren saw Qin Ing appear and immediately shouted, "Grandfather, save me. I am an elite of Qin clan. I don't want my qi sea to be destroyed." "Shut up, idiot. My painstaking efforts to nurture you are actually so useless." Qin Ing scolded coldly. Qin Haoren immediately lowered his head and did not speak. The hatred in his eyes became even more intense. At this moment, not only did he hate Yi Qinghan and Qin Shihuang, he also hated Qin Ing. Yi Qinghan coldly glanced at Qin Haoren. How could Qin Haoren's soul escape his eyes? However, since Qin Ing made a move, there was nothing much to say. He would let him off for the time being. "Greetings to Senior Qin. Senior, this is an internal matter of the meeting of heroes. It's not good for you to interfere, right?" Ling Chen cupped his fist and asked in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. "I did not interfere. I only asked Mr. Yi for a favor. Whether Mr. Yi is willing to listen or not is up to him." Qin Ing was extremely shameless. He was lying through his teeth. He had already made a move and now he said that he did not interfere. This made Ling Chen speechless. Mr. Yi, can you give me some face? As long as you let this unfilial son go, I will discipline him strictly when I return. Qin Ying's aura rose as he said in a deep voice. At this moment, the one being humiliated was Qin Shi Huang. However, Qin Ying did not even look at Qin Shi Huang. He did not even say a word for him. Instead, he pressured Ling Chen to protect Qin Haoren. A strange smile hung on the corner of Yi Qinghan's mouth. He couldn't help but wonder if Qin Ying really valued Qin Shi Huang. It was strange that Qin Ying would let Qin Shi Huang inherit the majority of the Qin clan's assets. Fine, take him away. I hope you won't regret it in the future. Yi Qinghan replied coldly. Thank you, Mr. Yi. After Qin Ying finished speaking, he grabbed Qin Haoren and flew out of the martial arts practice field. From the beginning to the end, he didn't ask about the matter of the Qin Emperor being humiliated. The Qin Emperor felt sad. In the end, the Qin clan did not have a place for him to stay. Perhaps only Qin Ying and himself knew the real reason. Yi Qinghan was very puzzled. Logically speaking, Qin Ying should have asked about Qin Shi Huang's matter. Unfortunately, he didn't, not even a single word. It didn't seem like he loved Qin Shi Huang very much, so he placed most of the inheritance rights on him. Instead, he had other plans. Why is it like this? Yi Qinghan frowned and stared at Qin Shi Huang carefully. He seemed to have understood something. The reason was Qin Shi Huang. The atmosphere in the martial arts practice field was somewhat strange. Those who were clamoring to kill Yi Qinghan had all shut their mouths. Even Qin Haoren, who was ranked 10th, had been defeated. What was the point of others coming up? They would all be courting death. Everyone looked at Tang Chu, Xian Wuyu, and Di Kong. Now that Yi Qinghan was still on the field, only the three of them could take action. Di Kong and Yi Qinghan did not have any substantial conflict. Obviously, he wouldn't risk his life for Tang Chu. When Yi Qinghan was heavily injured, he might come out to take advantage of the situation. Tang Chu and Xian Wuyu looked at each other and discussed through voice transmission. Brother Xian, I will pay 1,000 mid-grade spirit crystals. You have the true spirit Dao wings. Killing him from the sky shouldn't be a problem, right? Tang Chu asked. Then what about Zhao Wuji? Are you confident? Can you escape from his hands? Xian Wuyu asked in a deep voice. Haha, Brother Xian, as long as we kill Yi Qinghan, will Zhao Wuji risk his life for a dead person? Tang Chu sneered. That's true. As long as Zhao Wuji is not stupid, once Yi Qinghan dies and then kills Qin Shi Huang, this matter will be left unsettled. Xian Wuyu coldly glanced at Yi Qinghan. His true spirit Dao wings spread open, and the crimson-red wings covered the sky with a majestic aura. Yi Qinghan, your footsteps end here. I will take you away. Xian Wuyu soared into the sky. His entire body was scarlet red, as if half the sky was burning. One could fly, while the other could only run underground. They were not on the same level at all. Damn, this works too? Since Xian Wuyu obtained the 5th grade true spirit Dao wings, other than the 2 great kings, Zhao Wuji can't win, right? You can only blame Yi Qinghan for being unlucky. Who asked him to provoke Tang Chu and the others? He even provoked them so arrogantly. I will find it strange if he doesn't die today. Everyone was discussing. No one sympathized with Yi Qinghan, and some even mocked him. Zhao Wuji's face darkened. He couldn't help but say coldly, Xian Wuyu, aren't you being too much of a bully? Why don't you take out a 5th grade combat weapon? Haha, weapons and martial skills are the embodiment of combat power. If you have the ability, go get a true spirit Dao wing too. I will not say no. Xian Wuyu laughed wildly. That's right. Weapons, martial skills, and luck were all embodiments of a cultivator's combat power. No one could say anything about it. Brother Yi, you have the right to choose to rest for a while. Leave Xian Wuyu to me. Zhao Wuji unsheathed his sword. His whole body was like a peerless sword, and his sword energy soared into the sky. No need, I will do it myself. Yi Qinghan's eyes were like the eyes of a dragon as he looked at Xian Wuyu in the sky. He was thinking about how to lure Xian Wuyu down. Don't force yourself. It's okay to retreat at this time. Zhao Wuji frowned. Facing the current Xian Wuyu, He didn't have the confidence to win. However, Yi Qinghan was bound to lose. Thanks, but I will deal with my own problems. It's just a 5th grade true spirit Dao Wing. I don't care about it, Yi Qinghan muttered. He stretched out his hand and said indifferently, Brother Zhao, let me borrow your sword. Zhao Wuji's sword was only a 3rd grade spiritual sword, and an ordinary one at that. He didn't come from a powerful family, and he didn't have a strong background. It was already good enough for him to get a 3rd grade spiritual sword by himself. Zhao Wuji didn't hesitate and threw the sword out. Yi Qinghan's wrist sank as he caught the spiritual sword. He found that the sword was made of ordinary material and might not be able to hurt Xian Wuyu. In the end, he could only return it to him. Yi Qinghan, can we start? I won't take advantage of you. I will start when you say so. But where is that stupid bird of yours? Let it come out. I will roast it alive. Xian Wuyu said coldly. What the fuck? You idiot, did I get in your way by hiding here and watching the show? Isn't this just lying down? The parrot had blended into the crowd at some point. When it heard Xian Wuyu scolding it, it jumped out and hooted. Ha, this bird is so funny. It's so fat. It will taste good when roasted. The people in the Tang Chu camp laughed. Roast your sister. This divine bird is unique in the world. A bunch of ignorant children. Today, this divine bird will punish you on behalf of the moon. The parrot jumped more than 10 meters and ran directly to Yi Qinghan's shoulder with a flattering face. Yi Qinghan didn't scold it. He looked coldly at the parrot. This stupid bird jumped out at this time most likely because it was scolded by Xian Wuyu and couldn't help but run out. Otherwise, it wouldn't have come out to take the risk. Master, you have worked hard. Leave this birdman to me. I will take him down and you can wait to collect his corpse. The parrot promised solemnly to curry favor with Yi Qinghan. Are you sure? Yi Qinghan was curious. If he wasn't sure he could win, how could this parrot, who bullied the weak and feared the strong, win? Of course, I will definitely make him fall head first into the ground. The parrot secretly said. The parrot's sudden appearance attracted mockery and ridicule from the crowd. However, the parrot was thick-skinned. When people praised it, it immediately accepted it, but when people said it was fat, it pretended not to hear. When Xian Wuyu saw the parrot appear, he was furious. His murderous intent burst out, and the 4th grade spirit sword in his hand emitted a monstrous sword aura. Whoosh! The parrot flew into the sky, turning into a bolt of lightning. It flew across the ground and deliberately provoked Xian Wuyu. Idiot, I can fly. Come and chase me. After saying this, the parrot rose vertically. Its speed was so fast that its fat body couldn't affect its speed at all. Fuck. You stupid bird, I will definitely kill you today. Xian Wuyu rushed up and chased the parrot. One man and one bird, without any curve, both rose vertically. Whoosh! Xian Wuyu and the parrot were so fast that the crowd couldn't follow them. In the blink of an eye, they had reached a height of 1,000 meters. The parrot and Xian Wuyu were getting closer and closer. Xian Wuyu sneered. He took out a medium-grade spirit crystal and inserted it into his true spirit Dao wings. His speed increased, and he closed the distance again. Oh fuck! I surrender! I absolutely surrender! Little Xian, don't be so serious. Xian Wuyu wouldn't believe this stupid bird. He pulled out his sword and slashed at the parrot. His sword aura pierced through the clouds, incomparably sharp. Whoosh! The parrot retracted its butt and shot up like a rocket. It screamed and screamed exaggeratedly. Today, even if you scream yourself hoarse, no one will come to save you. Xian Wuyu laughed wildly. He closed the distance again. He put away his sword and reached out to grab the parrot, ready to roast it alive. At a height of 2,000 meters, a strong wind blew, and the cold air was oppressive. Xian Wuyu and the parrot were only 20 meters apart. The parrot's eyes flashed, and it suddenly dove down, crashing into Xian Wuyu. Xian Wuyu didn't expect the parrot to charge down. He laughed, and his true essence poured out from his hand, turning into a giant hand that covered the sky. Whoosh! When the parrot was less than 2 meters away from Xian Wuyu, it opened its mouth and spat out a mouthful of fire. The fire instantly engulfed Xian Wuyu. Xian Wuyu's eyes were burned, and his beautiful black hair was burned away. Ah? Xian Wuyu screamed. He hurriedly covered his eyes with his hands, but his eyes felt like they were being pricked by needles. His divine sense was in chaos, and he couldn't control his true spirit Dao wings. He fell to the ground. Woo woo woo, the strong wind blew, but the fire didn't weaken. Instead, it grew bigger, completely engulfing Xian Wuyu. Xian Wuyu screamed more and more miserably. His body twitched, and his hands scratched at his body. He wanted to put out the fire, but the more anxious he was, the more he couldn't control his true spirit Dao wings. The speed of his descent was faster than the speed of his ascent. Kakaha, you idiot. I said you were stupid, but you didn't believe me. This divine bird can breathe fire. I told you last time, but you still dared to come so close. Aren't you looking to die? The parrot had a smug look on its face as it chased after Xian Wuyu. In the blink of an eye, it had reached a height of a few hundred meters. Xian Wuyu was driven mad. If he could control his body, he would definitely cut the parrot in half. But now, he could only dance around, trying to put out the fire. It was a miserable sight. Chapter 81. A meteor streaked across the sky, shocking everyone. Xian Wuyu's exaggerated scream made them realize that the parrot had tricked Xian Wuyu. Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes. He was speechless as he watched the parrot chase after Xian Wuyu, spitting fire. He didn't know how the parrot had managed to turn around and trap Xian Wuyu like this. Xian Wuyu's falling speed was increasing. Seeing that he was about to hit the ground, Tang Chu's face darkened. He obviously couldn't allow Xian Wuyu to be tricked to death by the parrot. He took out a grade 3 iron crossbow from his yin and yang ring, knocking an arrow. He aimed at the void, but not at the parrot. Even Ling Chen couldn't stop him. Whoosh, tracking arrow. Tang Chu almost snapped the grade 3 iron crossbow. A black iron arrow roared out, drawing a 90-degree arc in the void as it suddenly shot towards the parrot. Fuck you, bitch. The parrot's pure white feathers stood on end as it desperately fled into the distance. Tang Chu shrugged and said indifferently, "Sorry I missed." Zero Dawn looked coldly at Tang Chu and didn't say anything. Then he looked at Leisure, who was falling rapidly from the void. When he was 50 meters from the ground, he just barely used his true spirit Dao wings. His falling speed was still not under control. 40 meters. 30 meters. Yi Qinghan's eyes were like torches. He formed a seal with his palms, which turned into a swimming dragon. His steps were extremely strange. 8th Division Heavenly Dragon Palm. Whoosh. Roar. Yi Qinghan's true essence poured out, turning into a heavenly dragon. It rushed into the clouds and blasted towards Xian Wuyu. Xian Wuyu's hair stood on end. He was still trying to control his true spirit Dao wings. There was no way he could block Yi Qinghan's attack. Rise for me. Xian Wuyu roared crazily. His wings beat the sky, rolling up tens of thousands of waves of air. He tried to control his body to stop falling, but Yi Qinghan's body was like an arrow. He actually flew up for a short period of time. No, he didn't fly. Yi Qinghan relied on his physical strength to jump 20 to 30 meters high. His true essence was just enough to attack Xian Wuyu. Roar, the true essence pouring out of Yi Qinghan's body transformed into a heavenly dragon that roared at the sky. It instantly left Yi Qinghan's palm and swept towards Xian Wuyu. Fear and despair filled Xian Wuyu's eyes. It was too late. There was no time to dodge. He hurriedly took out a treasure from the bottom of his chest. It was a high-grade spirit crystal. Boom, break for me. Yi Qinghan launched an attack before he was exhausted. He controlled the true essence dragon and shot out a palm attack. The true Yuan dragon was indestructible, and it instantly pierced through Xian Wuyu's body. A sharp true Yuan shot into Xian Wuyu's Qi-Si and exploded. Yi Qinghan, how dare you destroy my Qi-Si? When I reappear, I will exterminate your entire family. Xian Wuyu let out a blood-curdling scream as he shot a venomous glance at Yi Qinghan from the corner of his eyes. Then, he inserted the high-grade spirit crystal into his true spirit Dao wings. The true spirit Dao wings emitted a monstrous pressure. With the support of the high-grade spirit crystal, The true spirit Dao wings actually tore open the void on their own and disappeared without a trace with Xian Wuyu. Although Yi Qinghan's quintessential essence hadn't been exhausted after launching that attack, he couldn't exert any more force to kill Xian Wuyu. He could only watch as Xian Wuyu disappeared and fell down. Boom! Yi Qinghan fell from 20 to 30 meters in the air. With a loud bang, Yi Qinghan's feet landed on the ground, shaking the stone floor. He rolled a few times on the ground to dissipate 80% of the impact. Only then did he manage to stabilize himself. Tang Chu's face was ashen. He did not expect to be defeated by a lowly bird. Now that Yi Qinghan did not have the strength to fight, even if he and Di Kong joined hands, they would at most be able to injure Zhao Wuji. Obviously, Tang Chu would not fight to the death with Zhao Wuji. He turned his head and signaled to Xiao Yu and the others. He secretly transmitted his voice, "Xiao Yu, act according to the plan and kill Qin Shi Huang." There were no longer any sounds of mockery towards Yi Qinghan on the training grounds. Their eyes were wide open, looking at Yi Qinghan as if they were looking at a demon. To be able to leap 30 meters high in a single bound, and also be able to unleash such a powerful attack, there was probably only Yi Qinghan alone. Everyone looked at the indifferent Yi Qinghan. He took out 2 mid-grade spirit crystals, one in each hand, and crushed them. He forcibly absorbed the majestic spirit qi, causing his arms to turn silver-white. Only Yi Qinghan dared to absorb spirit qi in such a crazy way. No one in the Bitter Sea stage had a full qi sea. 990 miles. 1 or 2 mid-grade spirit crystals could not burst the qi sea, and Yi Qinghan's body was unparalleled. Even if the spirit qi was violent, it could not destroy his body. Zhao Wuji stepped into the center of the martial arts arena and stood at the side. He looked at Tang Chu indifferently and said, "Tang Chu, are you going to ask your women to apologize, or are you going to fight to the death with me?" Apologize? Ridiculous, it is clearly Qin Shi Huang's fault. Why should we apologize? Tang Chu sneered and continued, "Zhao Wuji, Di Kong and I have a way to injure you and even perish together. But as an outsider, I feel that there is no meaning in fighting like this. Why don't we let the people involved deal with it personally? The winner lives, the loser dies, how about it?" Tang Chu was not willing to fight to the death with Zhao Wuji. He chose the safest way, which was to use a group of Bitter Sea stage female cultivators to deal with a child of the Blood Ignition stage. Zhao Wuji looked at Tang Chu with disdain. He swept his eyes over Xiao Yu and the others, and found that most of them were at the 2 stars to 3 stars of the Bitter Sea stage. Xiao Yu was in existence at the 4 stars of the Bitter Sea stage. Letting Qin Shi Huang fight with them was completely sending him to his death. You think this is fair? Using a group of Bitter Sea stage adults to fight with a child of the Blood Ignition stage, and taking turns to fight, are you playing with me? Zhao Wuji questioned. This question made everyone on the martial arts arena fall silent for a while, and then burst into discussion. Isn't this too shameless? Is there no one from the Qin family who will stand up for Qin Shi Huang? He is just a blind person who would offend so many families for a blind person. Xiao Yu looked at Qin Shi Huang with disdain, her eyes full of killing intent. Since Tang Chu had promised her that as long as she killed Qin Shi Huang, she could obtain everything she wanted, why not? We will suppress our cultivation. Qin Shi Huang is at the peak of the Blood Ignition stage, then we will suppress our cultivation to the peak of the Blood Ignition stage. If we suppress our cultivation and he still cannot win, then wouldn't it confirm the fact that he attacked us? Xiao Yu said confidently. That's right, if Qin Shi Huang does not admit that he attacked us sneakily, then Xiao Yu and the others would be beaten so badly. This means that Xiao Yu does not need to suppress her cultivation and he should win. Now that Xiao Yu has suppressed her cultivation, if he cannot win, then it is clear who was right and who was wrong. Tang Chu said in a low voice. Hearing this, everyone felt that it made sense. There is no need to suppress your cultivation, let's all attack together. I will use my actions to prove that I am not wrong. Qin Shi Huang stepped into the center of the martial arts arena, the birthmark on his palm glowing with a faint golden light, which was covered by his wide battle robe. The master was arrogant, but the disciple was even more arrogant. A blind person at the same time, declared war on more than 10 female cultivators of the bitter sea stage. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, looking at the young Qin Shi Huang's firm tone. They could not help but be curious. Yi Qinghan had created a miracle. Could Qin Shi Huang do the same? Since Qin Shi Huang has declared war on all of you at the same time, then there is no need to be polite. Attack together, let the two kings and the crown prince of Lulan see who was wrong today. Tang Chu did not give Qin Shi Huang and Yi Qinghan a chance to back out, and quickly replied. Zhao Wuji's breath stagnated. Looking at Qin Shi Huang's clear eyes, he did not have the slightest bit of fear. He only wanted to prove his determination. Looking at Yi Qinghan, he also did not have much worry. He could not help but have a strong interest in this pair of master and disciple. Yi Qinghan's eyes were tightly shut, his whole body emitting a strong spiritual energy. His qi and blood seemed to be boiling, and his entire person became incomparably majestic. His body was 7 feet tall, enshrouded in purple light, and his long hair fluttered without wind. His weathered body was bursting with an indescribable history, as if he had experienced thousands or even tens of thousands of years. Lu Ning's gaze became gentle, but she still stared at Yi Qinghan's back. She clenched her fists, and her eyes were a little blurred, as if she had returned to the Battle of Kings 5 years ago. That man who looked down on all living things was the Supreme Battle King who was specially invited, and he was not stingy with his guidance, and she had also benefited from him. He was unparalleled and overbearing. He was only 300 years old, but he was invincible among the supreme martial artists of the same realm. He was the glory of the Shaolong region, attracting the admiration of countless female cultivators and the respect of all heroes. Is it him? This is impossible. Apart from the similar qi and back, none of the techniques are his. What about crazy 7 feet? What about the extreme divine dragon steps? Azure dragon techniques? I did not use any of them. Lu Ning took a deep breath and recalled the records of her family history. She did not find any records of the resurrection of the dead, nor did she find any methods of reincarnation. She thought to herself, I have to confirm if it is him later. If it is, what should I do? After all, the elders of the Lu family committed an unforgivable crime in the past. On the martial arts stage, Yi Qinghan was still desperately absorbing spiritual energy. His arms were almost bright, and his sleeves were torn. His barbaric and overbearing aura suppressed all the heroes, and they did not dare to move. He is breaking through. Someone shouted, and everyone saw Yi Qinghan's true yuan suddenly burst out, rushing to his limbs and bones. He mobilized his vigorous qi and blood to crush the bottleneck. Boom, boom, boom. Everyone could clearly hear the scene of 10,000 horses running wildly inside Yi Qinghan's body, and the roaring sound was soul-stirring. His skin looked tender and soft, but it was actually tempered into a steel divine weapon by the true yuan. His robe was torn by the wind, and his long hair flew behind. He opened his eyes, and they turned into lightning that suppressed all living things. He suddenly looked at Tang Chu, and Tang Chu's courage was torn apart. She took a few steps back, and her face was pale, as if she was facing a supreme existence. Tang Chu's heart beat faster. She looked at Yi Qinghan's emotionless but soul-stirring eyes, and she did not dare to look directly at him. What's wrong with me? I can continue to fight. Tang Chu, do you dare to come up? Yi Qinghan stared at Tang Chu with a threatening gaze, and asked coldly. I do not take advantage of others. You fought 3 times in a row, and I won without honor. Let's prove who is right and who is wrong for the time being. Tang Chu's breath stagnated, and he rejected Yi Qinghan's challenge. He turned to Xiao Yu and the others and said, If you are wrong, I will not let others deal with you. I will personally deal with you. If you win against Qin Shi Huang, I will not allow anyone to bully you. Tang Chu's words showed his superior wisdom. He could attack or retreat. If Xiao Yu and the others won, it would mean that Qin Shi Huang had launched a sneak attack. If he lost, he could directly kill Xiao Yu, and also show goodwill to Yi Qinghan. Even if Yi Qinghan's battle prowess was monstrous, he would have no reason to deal with him. Chapter 82. The sun shone down on the world. As it approached noon, more and more people gathered around the martial arts field. Yi Qinghan saw that Tang Chu had directly rejected his challenge, and the killing intent in his eyes disappeared. He turned to the Qin emperor and said in a hoarse voice, "Prove yourself. Remember, this is a fight to the death. Don't be sad, because even if you die, no one will pity you." "Yes, master, I won't embarrass you." The Qin emperor nodded gravely and came to the side of Yi Qinghan, using his body to block the view of the crowd. A terrifying energy burst out from his palm, and the Gu Qin in his bosom returned to the ring of cosmos. The Gu Qin in his bosom, however, returned to the ring of universe. All of this happened silently. Even Lu Ning only felt a terrifying energy fluctuation, and then it disappeared without a trace. Yi Qinghan patted the Qin emperor and left the martial arts field with Zhao Wuji. The Qin emperor was still the Qin emperor, still holding the zither, still at the peak of the blood ignition realm. There was no change. Xiao Yu and the others sneered. More than 10 1-star, 2-star and even 3-star bitter sea experts could not deal with a 13-year-old child. They should just cut their own throats and commit suicide. "Little bastard, today I will teach you how to behave." Xiao Yu sneered cruelly. The malevolence and killing intent in her eyes was not concealed at all. It was as if she regarded Tang Chu as an omnipotent backer, but she did not know that she had been abandoned. Today, regardless of winning or losing, she would die. The Qin emperor did not refute. He lowered his head and smiled. That touch of gentleness was like the shyness of a snow lotus flower at the peak of a mountain. He was more handsome than a man and more beautiful than a woman. He held the ancient immortal zither and slowly retreated. His 5 fingers played the zither, and the sound of nature suddenly sounded. The sound of the zither attracted hundreds of birds. The world was deathly silent, and all living things listened. They were unwilling to interrupt the beautiful sound of the zither, and even more unwilling to disturb the person playing the zither. As the sound of the zither rose, the Qin emperor's 10 fingers left the zither. The zither unexpectedly hovered in front of the Qin emperor without any support, as if it was attracted by the Qin emperor's hand. Everyone was stunned. Wang wang wang. The 10 fingers plucked the 9 strings at the same time. The melody became more and more urgent, controlling the qi, blood and true yuan of the experts, sometimes suppressed, sometimes boiling. Zeng zeng zeng. The experts on the periphery retreated, their faces changed. They tried their best to control their qi si, returning their true yuan, suppressing the restlessness of their qi and blood. Fortunately, this was only the aftermath, and the Qin emperor did not target them. Instead, it was the sound of the Qin emperor's zither that affected them. If the Qin emperor had mobilized his Zhen Yuan to actively control it, they would not have been able to regain control of the Zhen Yuan so easily. I saw a fairyland. Those at the bitter sea stage with slightly weaker Dao hearts were directly lost. It was as if they had stepped into an immortal realm. All around them was a paradise. 4th-grade spirit herbs and even 5th-grade battle weapons could be found everywhere. There was an abundance of spiritual energy. The willows swayed, the surface of the lake swayed, hundreds of flowers bloomed, the flowers flew and the butterflies danced. Some existences with firm Dao hearts retreated continuously. They stared at the Qin emperor with pale faces. They knew it was an illusion, but they didn't want to break it. Xiao Yu and the others in the center of the martial arts practice field were the first to bear the brunt. Before they could attack, they were instantly bewitched, and their eyes were full of greed. "Ah, I'm rich. So many treasures. Precious spirit pills, 5th-grade secret technique. Hee, with these, what use do I have for Tang Chu? These treasures are all mine." Lu Ning looked at the Qin emperor's hair fluttering in the wind, his eyes emitting light. The sound of the zither turned into a unique melody, as if a fairy had descended, holy and inviolable. Lu Ning could not help but gasp. She said to herself, "Is it a special constitution? How many years has it been since a special constitution appeared? What constitution does he have?" Tang Chu saw that Xiao Yu was bewitched, and the greed in his eyes was disgusting. He could not help but clench his fists, groan and withdraw his killing intent. No one knew what Xiao Yu and the others saw, but they saw hundreds of birds flying in the sky, butterflies dancing, the blue sky and white clouds suddenly changing, causing a terrifying phenomenon. Red clouds hung in the sky, turning into golden dragons and phoenixes that surrounded the Qin emperor. Hummed at the sound of the zither was melodious, and the scene changed again. Maple leaves fluttered in the sky, covering the sky. The whole world became red, dark and gloomy. It evoked the inner demons of Xiao Yu. Qin emperor, you bitch, I let you drink because you are blind, and I let you kneel because I am giving you face. How dare you hit me? See if I don't kill you today. Xiao Yu roared. The image of the Qin emperor weakly lying in the rain appeared in front of her eyes, looking pitiful, which made her even more ferocious. Everyone suddenly showed a strange expression. Tang Chu was even more furious. She couldn't wait to slap this bitch into the 100,000 mountains. Yi Qinghan smiled indifferently. He could not tell that although the Qin emperor was simple, he was not stupid. He knew to evoke the inner demons of Xiao Yu and the others, and to reveal the truth first. Even if he killed these people now, the families behind them would not have the face to blame him. Buzzed, the Qin emperor's face darkened. The strange melody controlled the sea of consciousness of many female cultivators, causing them to hallucinate. Go die. If I kill you, I can get everything I want. Xiao Yu raised her sword and stabbed at a person beside her. Pucci. Killed. More than 10 female cultivators of the Bitter Sea stage lost control at the same time and began to kill each other. They raised their swords and hacked. In an instant, several people fell into a pool of blood. Everyone's expression was incomparably ferocious, wishing they could chop the person in front of them into meat paste. Everyone's hair stood on end. If the Qin emperor's cultivation level was higher, facing an army of tens of thousands, it would be like an eagle catching chickens. No matter how many there were, they would be killed. In an instant, of the 13 female cultivators, 7 had fallen to the ground. Xiao Yu took the lead, charging straight through their group. Her killing intent was aroused, and she killed several people in a row. Her body was bathed in a river of blood, so cruel that it made people's hair stand up. That stupid blind. Xiao Yu's swordsmanship was swift and fierce. After receiving the guidance of Tang Chu, it was far better than the others. No one was a match for her, and she killed the most. The people of the Tang Chu camp watched Xiao Yu slaughter their own women, their faces ashen, but they could not blame her. After all, they were killing each other. Hummed at the sound of the zither changed again. The remaining 5 female cultivators all charged at Xiao Yu, as if treating Xiao Yu as the Qin emperor. Go to hell, bitch. The 5 people besieged Xiao Yu from different directions, causing her a lot of damage in an instant. One of them stabbed Xiao Yu's thigh with his sword. With a fierce slash, her clothes were cut open, revealing her bloody thigh. You are courting death. How dare you hurt me? I will torture you to death. Xiao Yu was furious. She stabbed down with her sword, directly piercing the opponent's back and suppressing him. However, there were still 4 people who seized the opportunity and stabbed at Xiao Yu's body at the same time. Xiao Yu's legs were held by the dead teammate, so she could not move. She could only pull out her sword and sweep it across. The sword chi swept across and killed the 2 companions in front of her, but the 2 behind her stabbed her back at the same time. Xiao Yu screamed. She staggered and fell to the ground. Blood flowed like a stream. She desperately kicked the dead person who was holding her legs. At this moment, they could not use any martial techniques or secret techniques. They were fighting in a completely barbaric way. Xiao Yu used her strength to kick the dead body away. She looked at the remaining 2 people with a ferocious face, as if she had seen the enemy who killed her father. Everyone was terrified. They looked at the Qin emperor again. The speed at which his hands plucked the strings began to slow down. His face was pale. The melody began to become chaotic. The control of the sound of the zither was greatly weakened. Give up the control and recover your Zhen Yuan quickly. Use the absorbing roar and try to kill him in one blow. Yi Qinghan reminded him with a deep voice. Hearing that, the Qin emperor decisively gave up playing the zither. He took out a good pill of recovery from his universe ring and swallowed it. The spiritual energy spread to his limbs and bones, turning into Zhenyuan and gathering in his sea of qi. As the sound of the zither stopped, Xiao Yu and the others woke up instantly. They turned around and found that only 3 of them could still stand up, and they were all seriously injured. Looking at the Qin Emperor, they found that not even a strand of his hair was harmed. They could not help but be frightened and furious. This is impossible. I killed him. Xiao Yu did not come back to her senses for a moment. She could not help but roar hysterically. Xiao Yu, you are so vicious. You killed me. A girl lying in a pool of blood was struggling. She pointed at Xiao Yu and shouted angrily. Before she could finish her sentence, she fell to the ground and died on the spot. I didn't kill you. You were not killed by me. Xiao Yu was frightened. She knelt down on one knee, looking embarrassed. Looking at the 10 people lying on the ground and then at the Qin Emperor, she seemed to have understood something. The remaining 3 looked at the Qin Emperor with resentment. They struggled to stand up and threw themselves at the Qin Emperor. Qin Emperor! You bastard! You evil man! You used such a vicious method to control us. I will kill you! Xiao Yu was furious. She thrust her sword at the Qin Emperor's throat like a rainbow. Everyone felt it was a pity. The Qin Emperor was exhausted and his body was weak. He was no match for Xiao Yu and the others, even though the 3 of them were all seriously injured. Yi Qinghan clenched his iron fists, ready to strike at any moment. Lu Ning held the silver divine whip tightly and stared at the center of the battlefield. She loved the Qin Emperor and would not allow anyone to kill him. Xiao Yu and the other 2 were extremely fast. The distance of 20 meters was shortened by half. They were about to kill the Qin Emperor. The Qin Emperor's face was gloomy. He was sweating profusely. He tried to control his Zhenyuan, but he was still unable to perform the Guqin Dao attack that contained the soul-absorbing roar. Huff! Everyone on the martial arts field was breathing faster. The Qin Emperor kept retreating. He was still young and panicked. Die! Xiao Yu and the other 2 rushed to the front of the Qin Emperor and thrust their swords. They were determined to kill him. You little bitches! How dare you sneak attack your Lord Divine Bird? The parrot's hair was messy as if it had been roasted by fire. Apparently, it was hit by Tang Chu's arrow. At the moment, it was infuriated. It dashed in the void and turned into a flash of lightning, pouncing at Xiao Yu and the other 2. Hua! A huge fire engulfed Xiao Yu and the other 2, almost wrapping the Qin Emperor in it. The fire spouted by the parrot seemed to be of a higher level than ordinary fire. Once touched, it would ignite. The clothes on Xiao Yu and the others were burned away instantly. Even their hair was gone. Their whole bodies were engulfed by the fire and started burning. The 3 of them screamed. They even lost their swords. They waved their hands and feet in joy. Their mournful screams pierced everyone's eardrums. However, it seemed that not many people sympathized with them. The parrot glared at Tang Chu and the others and shouted, "Which bitch shot me with an arrow just now? Get out here for this divine bird." Yi Qinghan let out a mouthful of turbid air. He couldn't help but grin when he saw the parrot in such a sorry state and flew into a rage. Ling Chen and the others also let out a mouthful of air. They were speechless. This bitch bird always appeared at the most crucial moment. Tang Chu was speechless. He looked at the parrot angrily. He wished he could take out the iron crossbow and shoot it again. Chapter 83. The parrot glared at Tang Chu. Its pure white feathers had turned black, as if it had been roasted by fire. Some of its feathers were missing. It was obvious that it had been torn off by a weapon. Bastard, I remember it was you. Am I right? You bitch, how dare you sneak attack me? Come, let's fight. The parrot roared. Ha! Ling Chen, who had always been cold and silent, laughed unabashedly. This parrot was too cute. It was so human-like. After being insulted, it still wanted to get back at him. Tang Chu's face was livid. However, he did sneak attack the parrot. He was in the wrong. More importantly, Yi Qinghan was behind the parrot. Once he fought with the parrot, he was not sure if he could catch up with it. If Yi Qinghan made a move, he was not confident that he could win. However, the parrot was unforgiving. It was shouting in the middle of the training field, pointing at his nose and scolding him. No one could stand it, let alone him, the son of the governor of the state capital of Qing, the pride of the generation. Are you sure you want to fight with me? Tang Chu summoned his iron bow and stepped into the training field. He released a strong aura and asked coldly. The parrot's breath stagnated. It pretended that it did not hear Tang Chu's words and looked up at Xiao Yu and the other two who were running wildly. You three bitches, it must be you who shot me with arrows. I will burn you to death. The parrot turned around and pounced on Xiao Yu and the others. It burned the training field and the surrounding temperature was rising. But, Brother Tang, save me. Xiao Yu and the others screamed and twitched. No matter how they scratched, they could not put out the flames on their bodies. The smell of burnt flesh was dispersed by the wind. It was disgusting. The parrot chased after them and spat fire. Xiao Yu and the others soon collapsed on the ground. Their voices became hoarse. They were on the verge of death and were burned out of shape. Damn it, how dare you shoot me with arrows? This is a warning to you. If you dare to do it again, I will burn you to death. The parrot was arrogant. It left Xiao Yu and the others who were still burning and turned around to leave. It did not know that the three of them had been burned alive. Tang Chu, everyone, what brand of parrot was that? It could actually breathe fire. Most importantly, she was smarter than most people. She was also so shameless. She was lying through her teeth. She didn't even know how to blush. Zhao Wuji was speechless. He looked at Yi Qinghan and asked, Brother Yi, where did you get this bird? I picked it up. Yi Qinghan did not want to talk about this parrot anymore. It was too embarrassing. Tang Chu had already admitted that she had attacked it, but it had pretended not to see it. It had picked on the weak ones and had burned them to death. It had even said a bunch of nonsense. When Tang Chu saw that the parrot had taken the initiative to change the topic, he quickly retreated. For the time being, he didn't want to provoke Yi Qinghan, this weirdo. His cultivation was terrifying, his disciples were terrifying, and even his pet bird was so weird. Yi Qinghan glanced at Tang Chu. He knew that Tang Chu would definitely not fight him head-on. If he continued to provoke him, he would be at a disadvantage. Therefore, he was prepared to settle this matter. After all, Xiao Yu and the others had already received the punishment they deserved, death. The truth has been revealed. Do you still want to continue? Yi Qinghan asked coldly. Brother Yi, this matter was Xiao Yu and the others' fault. I was deceived. I am willing to apologize and compensate Qin Shi Huang with 500 mid-grade spirit crystals as a token of my apology. Tang Chu knew how to conduct himself. He had promised to give Yi Qinghan 1,000 mid-grade spirit crystals. However, Yi Qinghan's Qi Si had already been destroyed. This 1,000 mid-grade spirit crystals was equivalent to a victory. Giving away 500 mid-grade spirit crystals to appease Yi Qinghan was not a big deal. Yi Qinghan smiled coldly. It would be stupid not to take the meat that was sent to his mouth. 500 mid-grade spirit crystals was not a small amount. Then what about the matter of you attacking my spirit pet? It didn't dare to look for you. If I don't say something, how can I face it? Yi Qinghan asked lightly. When the parrot saw that Yi Qinghan had taken the initiative to seek justice for it, it was so grateful that it wanted to offer up all its treasures. Master, you have really moved me. I will not let you down in the future. The parrot jumped and flew to Yi Qinghan's shoulder. Its face was full of sincerity, but only it knew how sincere it was. Tang Chu's mouth twitched and his fingertips trembled. He looked at the embarrassed parrot on Yi Qinghan's shoulder. A strange look flashed in his eyes, but it quickly disappeared. It was my fault. I just wanted to save a genius. After all, Xian Wu is a genius of the Owl False Star. I hope Brother Yi can forgive me. I will give you another 500 mid-grade spirit crystals to compensate your spirit pet. Tang Chu was very reluctant. He took out 1,000 mid-grade spirit crystals from his Qiankuan ring and placed them neatly on the martial arts field, forming a small spirit mountain. When the parrot saw this, it rushed over without hesitation. The Qinkuan ring on its little paw flashed and took away Qin Shi Huang's 500 mid-grade spirit crystals. Hee, Qin Shi Huang, you are still young. I will keep it for you. When you grow up, I will give it to you. The parrot said shamelessly. Qin Shi Huang was speechless. Tang Chu looked at the parrot with great pain. He looked at the parrot and then cupped his fist to Yi Qinghan and said, I am Tang Chu of Qingzhou. If Brother Yi comes to Qingzhou in the future and meets any trouble, you can mention my name. No one will dare to offend you. I have something to do today. Goodbye. Tang Chu did not give Yi Qinghan a chance to speak. He turned around and left with his henchmen. He was afraid that he would be extorted for another few hundred mid-grade spirit crystals. Ying Feng's eyes flashed when he saw the end of the battle. He quietly left. Even Yi Qinghan did not notice how he left. Lu Ning, Ling Chen, Wang Shizhi, and the others stared at Yi Qinghan's back. Each of them had their own thoughts. At this moment, it was already afternoon. The setting sun sprinkled its golden rays onto everyone's faces. Many people were dissatisfied that they didn't get to see the battle between Yi Qinghan and Tang Chu. However, after some noise, the crowd dispersed. Fuck, that was awesome. Today, I saw a miracle. One star of the Bitter Sea realm, sweeping through the Bitter Sea realm, yet no one was his match. If I had such ability, how could I not be king? Yes, it made my blood boil. Only now did I remember that I have not eaten breakfast. Let's go home and eat. Then I will cultivate hard. Maybe one day I can reach this level. Goo goo goo, when they talked about eating, many people remembered that most of them had not eaten. They stared blankly for half a day. Qin Shi Huang rubbed his stomach and smiled bitterly. Master, I am also hungry. Let's go home? Yes, let's go back. Yi Qinghan nodded and was about to leave with Qin Shi Huang. Brother Yi, Outyin apologizes to you and Qin Shi Huang for today's matter. I will send someone to compensate you in the afternoon. I hope you can accept it. Lu Outyin cupped his fists and said, No need, this is not your fault. Moreover, the hatred is gone. There is no point in pursuing it. Brother Lu, go and do your things. Let's part here. See you at the auction tomorrow. Yi Qinghan said indifferently. All right, I will not disturb you. I still have other things to do. Goodbye. Lu Outyin nodded and said. Zhao Wuji looked at Yi Qinghan and asked in a low voice, Brother Yi, do you have time to discuss the martial path of the Bitter Sea with me? Let's go together. Thank you for today. Yi Qinghan knew how to repay kindness. Zhao Wuji had helped him without hesitation today. It would not be right if he did not help him. Yi Qinghan and Zhao Wuji brought Qin Shi Huang to Hufei Er's courtyard. Lu Ning stared at Yi Qinghan's back and subconsciously followed. The central hall of the Lingbao Hall was dazzling and luxurious. Everywhere was filled with an extravagant aura. One could see the splendor of the Lingbao Hall. At this moment, other than Qin Haoran who was kneeling on the ground, there was only Qin Ying who had a solemn expression. There was no one else in the surroundings. Even the guards had left the courtyard and were guarding outside. Dealing with Qin Shi Huang in front of everyone. Where is your brain? You are so stubborn. For some petty thoughts, you suppressed your opponents. How can I be at ease to hand over the Qin clan and the rank 4 Lingbao Hall to you? Qin Ying was resentful that Qin Haoran did not live up to his expectations as he angrily scolded. Qin Haoran's eyes were filled with haze as killing intent flashed past. He said with dissatisfaction, Great-grandfather, most of the Qin clan's assets are in Qin Shi Huang's hands. No matter what, it is impossible for me to obtain the Qin clan. I dealt with him because I did not want the Qin clan to be destroyed in the hands of that blind man. But, bastard! In the end, Qin Shi Huang is? Qin Ying fiercely slapped Qin Haoran. The crisp sound echoed in the hall. Seeing Qin Haoran's dissatisfaction and doubt, he could not help but feel sad. What do you know? If I did not purposely announce that most of the Qin clan's assets would be inherited by Qin Shi Huang, would you be able to live until now? Don't you know that the Qin clan is fighting and scheming against each other? Now you want to kill Qin Shi Huang. If you were the successor, wouldn't the other members of the Qin clan want to kill you as well? Qin Ying coldly scolded. Qin Haoran was startled for a moment. Then he pressed Qin Ying down with pleasant surprise. His whole body was trembling with excitement. Great-grandfather, you mean? Qin Haoren wanted to ask with uncertainty, but he was afraid that the answer he would get would be different from what he had guessed. In the end, he did not dare to ask. That's right. Qin Shi Huang is only the successor on the surface. He helped you attract the attention of the Qin clan and even the people who coveted the Qin clan's assets. You are the eldest son of the Qin clan and also a genius. In order to let you go out alone to gain experience and grow quickly so that you can be independent in the future, I announced that Qin Shi Huang is the successor and treated him like a treasure to attract people's attention. However, your performance really disappointed me. Qin Ying angrily scolded. Qin Haoren was surprised and happy. He did not expect that Qin Shi Huang was only a scapegoat. Why was he jealous of him? Great-grandfather, I was wrong. I was confused for a moment and was blinded by appearances. Please give me another chance. Qin Haoren prostrated himself on the ground and forgot that Qin Ying had slapped him. Today, come with me to apologize to Qin Shi Huang and Yi Qinghan. Qin Ying's face darkened as he coldly said, but Qin Shi Huang is only blind. What can Yi Qinghan do? He only relied on his speed. Great-grandfather, why do you care so much about them? Qin Haoren was unwilling. Asking him to apologize to Qin Shi Huang was worse than killing him. I don't care about Qin Shi Huang. Even if he has the so-called Zither immortal scarlet demon body, he won't be able to do anything. However, Yi Qinghan is different. Qin Ying shook his head and said helplessly. Chapter 84. The meeting of heroes had shocked so many people and shook the hearts of so many heroes. In the evening, the setting sun dyed half of the sky red in flaming Cloud City. Maple leaves were falling, flowers were flying and butterflies were dancing in the sky. Zhao Wuji and Yi Qinghan talked for an entire afternoon. Zhao Wuji's face was rosy as he learned a lot. He cupped his fists and left respectfully. No one knew that this discussion made Zhao Wuji disappear for more than 10 years. When he reappeared, he had completely changed. After this battle, Yi Qinghan also knew his own flaws and had a deep understanding. In front of the experts, Zhong Yu could not use all of his skills. He could not use the extreme Dao Divine Dragon Steps, the heavy Berserk Saber, the Azure Dragon Art, and all of the powerful martial skills in the Divine Martial Emperor Code. Before reaching the Dao Sovereign Realm, the Shaolong region's great revered martial emperor was his limit. It seems that I have to create my own rank 5 martial technique and conceal my heavy manic blade. But before that, I should find out Lu Ning's purpose in coming to Owl Falling Star. Yi Qinghan stood by the lake and looked at the Milky Way. His hands were behind his back and his back was facing the common people. His strong and cold aura made it hard for people to approach him. In the distance, Lu Ning looked at Yi Qinghan from afar. Her eyes were filled with doubt and she could not help but get closer to this barren land. The gloomy weather made the fish jump out of the water and the lotus flowers started to wither. Faint spiritual energy floated out of the water and formed a layer of spiritual mist. It was magnificent. At this moment, the courtyard was like a painting in a fairyland. Strands of heavenly melodies spread out. It was as if it came from the ancient times. It was elegant and full of vicissitudes. It attracted countless green birds to circle around. The chirping of the birds accompanied the music. The fish jumped higher and higher as they played. The beauty of nature was displayed here. Lu Ning took a deep breath. She held the silver divine whip tightly and stepped into the courtyard. Yi Qinghan turned around and looked at Lu Ning. His heart sank as he thought, she still came. I didn't expect that after 5 years, she would grow to this extent. The tall Lu Ning could be considered a beauty that could cause the downfall of a country. Her beauty was peerless, enough to instantly kill any woman on Owl Fall Star. Her kingly aura was rich, and she had a unique style. Her white warrior's battle robe added to her heroic spirit. Supreme Yi, I know it's you. Lu Ning walked as if she was flying. Her toes touched the surface of the water as if she was walking on flat ground. Finally, she stepped on a lotus leaf like a fairy. The melodious sound was crisp and clear, and the sound of the zither came to an abrupt end. The blue bird flew away, and the area within 100 meters was dead silent. Yi Qinghan's eyes revealed a trace of suspicion as he asked indifferently, "You've got the wrong person. This Yi hasn't even been conferred the title of king, so where did the title of supreme come from?" "Jizun, no matter how you change, your soul won't change, your aura won't change, and the story behind you won't change. You don't dare to admit it because you're afraid that Lu Ning will betray you?" Lu Ning asked in a deep voice. "I really don't know who you're talking about. I'm just a barbarian from Wanshan town. I have proof. With your qualifications, it shouldn't be hard to find out who I am." Yi Qinghan turned around with his back facing Lu Ning. A trace of killing intent flashed in his eyes, but it was immediately restrained. He couldn't kill Lu Ning, or else the Lu family's people would swarm into Owl Falls Star. No matter how tyrannical he was, he wouldn't be able to escape from the Lu family's pursuit. "Is that so? It doesn't matter if you don't admit it. I can announce to the public that another Yi Qinghan has appeared on Owl Falls Star, and he has the same aura as the Supreme Battle King. I believe that not only the Lu family, but all the great revered martial artists in Owl Falls Star will rush there." Lu Ning threatened coldly. Yi Qinghan's expression didn't change. The light in his eyes was oppressive, and he quickly regained his calm. He slowly turned around to look at Lu Ning and asked hoarsely, "What do you want to say?" "I want you to prove your identity. Prove your identity to me, or you will die here today." The silver divine whip in Lu Ning's hand emitted a purple light, and its aura enveloped a radius of 1,000 meters. The elegance of this place instantly disappeared, and it became incomparably oppressive. The air froze, and the two of them stared at each other. Neither of them was willing to back down. Qin Shi walked out with his zither in his arms. The parrot squatted on Qin Shi shoulder with a vigilant expression. When it saw Lu Ning's hostility and strength, it couldn't help but shiver. "Beauty, if you have something to say, let's talk it out. Our master is handsome and elegant. If you want to marry him, you should at least have a proper attitude. Who would dare to marry such a fierce person?" The parrot said in a despicable manner. "Shut up." Yi Qinghan and Lu Ning shouted at the same time and coldly reprimanded it. The parrot staggered and grabbed Qin Shi collar. It immediately shut up and didn't even dare to make a sound. "My son, go back to the house and don't come out." Yi Qinghan's hair danced wildly in the wind, and his voice was overbearing and domineering. It was filled with a commanding tone, and Qin Shi had no room to refuse. He hugged his zither and went back. Only Yi Qinghan and Lu Ning were left outside the house. The two of them faced each other, and Lu Ning didn't have any intention of compromising. It was as if she was certain that Yi Qinghan was the peerless martial venerate of Owl War Planet. "If I am the supreme venerate you said, what will you do? If I am not, what will you do?" Yi Qinghan asked indifferently. "If you are, let's make a deal. If you are not, I will kill you," Lu Ning said arrogantly. "Ah, kill me? Let's not talk about whether or not you can kill me. Let's talk about what kind of deal you are going to make. Maybe it can move me, and I can pretend to be your supreme venerate." Yi Qinghan laughed loudly. He was curious about Lu Ning's thoughts, and he couldn't help but ask. "If you are really him, please prove it. I will help you hide your identity, but you have to agree to one condition." Lu Ning said in a deep voice. "What condition?" Yi Qinghan turned around and sat on the railing. He raised his eyebrows and asked. "Some people in the Lu family made mistakes in the past, and they need to bear the consequences. However, you can't harm the innocent. Give the Lu family a way out." Lu Ning's eyes were like lightning as she stared into Yi Qinghan's eyes. "I have 2 questions. Can you answer them first?" Yi Qinghan was a little confused. He stared at Lu Ning and asked. "Okay, ask away." Lu Ning suppressed the urgency in her heart and immediately replied. "First of all, from what you said, the supreme venerate you said has a grudge with the Lu family. If you are confident that you can kill me, why don't you?" Yi Qinghan was very confused. He didn't know that a strand of his black hair had completely conquered her back then. "If you are really him, I can't kill you, and I don't want to kill you. As for the reason, don't you know?" Lu Ning's face darkened. The person she loved had become an enemy in the blink of an eye because of the wrong decision of some people in the family. One could imagine how she felt. Since you are an enemy, why should I believe you? Why should I believe you? Yi Qinghan asked coldly. As long as you can prove it, I will give you a satisfactory explanation. Even if you want to kill me, I won't frown. As long as you are willing to give the Lu family a way out. Lu Ning replied firmly. Yi Qinghan's lips curled up slightly. He didn't know whether Lu Ning was telling the truth or not, but he knew that she had recognized him. Perhaps she had paid too much attention to him, so she could recognize his back. As for whether Lu Ning could believe him, Yi Qinghan didn't care. No matter if she was sincere or not, he couldn't believe her. How are you going to make me believe you? Yi Qinghan asked faintly. I will seal my memories. All memories related to you will be sealed until I reach the Tao sovereign realm. At that time, you won't care about the Xiaolong region, right? Lu Ning replied decisively. Sealing her memories was such a sincere concession. It made Yi Qinghan stunned. He didn't expect this little woman to have such deep feelings for him. Yi Qinghan clenched his fist and withdrew his killing intent. He couldn't kill Lu Ning. If she was willing to seal her memories, that would be the best. Let's leave Huiyun City. We can talk outside. Yi Qinghan leaped dozens of meters. He stepped on the waves and created a layer of ripples. Lu Ning's eyes lit up. She was even faster. In the blink of an eye, she was in front of Yi Qinghan. The two of them chased each other, leaving behind afterimages as they ran wildly in the night. As soon as they left Huiyun City, Yi Qinghan used the evolved divine dragon steps. He was as fast as lightning and was on par with Lu Ning. After an hour, they appeared in the forest. The two of them were 20 meters apart. They stared at each other with suppressed auras. No one spoke. After a long time, Lu Ning finally couldn't take it anymore. She took a deep breath and asked in a low voice, Are you really Supreme Yi? Yi Qinghan didn't say anything. He summoned the saber core with his left hand and the 7-foot heavy berserk saber with his right hand. He made two preparations. First, he had to prove that he was Yi Qinghan. Second, if Lu Ning lied to him, he could only use his trump card to completely wipe her out. Lu Ning's heart and soul were shaken. She took a few steps back. Her beautiful face became a little interesting. She was surprised, happy, and scared. You are really Supreme Yi. Lu Ning's Dao heart was in a mess. She struggled for a while and decided not to make a move. Yes, you can choose to kill me. That way, you won't have to worry about me taking revenge on the Lu family. Yi Qinghan suggested calmly. No, I won't make a move. Some people in the Lu family should be punished for their mistakes. I won't side with them as long as you're willing to leave the innocent people of the Lu family a way out. Lu Ning replied respectfully. Why won't you make a move? Just because I gave you a few words of advice? Aren't you afraid that if I agree now, I'll slaughter your entire family in the future? Yi Qinghan asked coldly. First, you will always be the supreme in my heart. I don't have the courage to make a move against you. Second, even if I make a move, I won't be able to kill you. I might even be killed by you. Third, you can escape from hundreds of martial supremacies. Wouldn't it be easy for you to escape from a little girl like me? As for your promise to me, you won't go back on it. Otherwise, you won't be Supreme Yi. Lu Ning bowed and replied. What are you doing here on Owl Falling Star? Who sent you here? Yi Qinghan was vigilant. He was worried that Lu Ning had a protector by her side. Supreme, I came here on my own cloud-piercing ship. This time, I came here because I heard that there's a large-scale auction here. There might be a black dragon bone. I came here to see if it's true or not. Lu Ning was very respectful, as if she was facing an elder. She couldn't hide the admiration in her eyes. Cloud-piercing ship. A 5th-grade flying ship. The worst one was worth 10,000 high-grade spirit crystals. Even a 5th-grade family couldn't afford it. Chapter 85. In the night sky, the nebula and the heavenly river flowed in reverse. A dark cloud stretched for thousands of miles and turned into a heavenly dragon. It wanted to swallow the desolate universe and show the vastness and majesty of nature. Yi Qinghan borrowed the power of heaven and earth and turned into a god of war. His battle-intent soared to the sky as he clenched his heavy berserk saber and pressed down on Lu Ning. Lu Ning's invincible king aura was instantly suppressed. "I want to tamper with your memories. You can choose to fight with me or listen to me." The hoarse voice carried an undeniable will and was incomparably overbearing. The ethereal pressure of heaven and earth enveloped Lu Ning, suppressing her until she couldn't straighten her back. A dignified king-ranked expert's Dao heart was actually so weak under Yi Qinghan's full power. This was Yi Qinghan's influence on her in her previous life. She couldn't go against him or she would die. However, Yi Qinghan wouldn't look down on Lu Ning just because she didn't dare to go against him. If it was anyone else today, even if it was someone at the fourth step of the Grotto Heaven realm, suppressing Lu Ning like this would only result in an even more terrifying resistance. "Supreme Yi, even if you want to kill me, I won't resist. I'll say it again. Back then, most of the people in the Lu clan opposed my ancestors' attack. Many of them are innocent. Please forgive them." Lu Ning sat cross-legged on the ground and kept her silver whip. She waited for Yi Qinghan to tamper with her memories. Yi Qinghan looked at Lu Ning's attitude. He crossed dozens of meters in one step and placed the heavy berserk saber on her neck. Lu Ning actually didn't resist at all. "Are you really not afraid of death? I believe that Supreme Yi won't kill a woman who is compromised." Lu Ning's determination made Yi Qinghan silent. He pressed 5 fingers on her head and the tyrannical spirit of a grandmaster broke into Lu Ning's consciousness. "Don't resist. Otherwise, I can't guarantee that you can become a normal person." Lu Ning relaxed her consciousness and exposed all her memories. She was defenseless. Yi Qinghan took advantage of this opportunity to enter and view part of her memories. It was about how Xiaolong region treated the remaining living beings of Xiao Zhanxing's Yi family after Xiao Zhanxing's destruction. She saw countless people being massacred, and even desolate beasts weren't spared. Vicious beasts roared and goshawks cried out in grief. These cries turned into the most mournful roars towards the heavens. Unfortunately, they didn't receive the slightest bit of pity. Owl War Star's hundreds of millions of creatures were wiped out in the end. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. A sorrowful aura shot up into the sky. His murderous aura was so dense that it almost materialized. The trembling heavy wild blade cut open Lu Ning's snow-white skin, causing blood to flow out. Lu Ning remained silent. She could feel Yi Qinghan's sadness and anger. She felt sad and helpless. "Xiaolong region, I will not rest until you are dead." Yi Qinghan's hoarse voice was filled with killing intent, causing Lu Ning to tremble. Yi Qinghan continued to explore her sea of consciousness, looking for the memories he wanted. After a long time, he finally found the information about Gu Qingyu and Sikong Lianqing. "Qingyu didn't die. He actually took advantage of my self-detonation to escape." Yi Qinghan's pupils shrank. His eyes emitted rays of light. After all these years, he finally received a piece of good news. Brother Lianqing also escaped from Xiaolong region. "Good. It's good that the two of you are fine." Yi Qinghan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. The news of the two's safety was very important to him. He was afraid that the great Yi clan had already been completely annihilated. The only ones who had a chance to survive were these two brothers. Lu Ning's Dao heart was still calm. She didn't disturb Yi Qinghan and let him gallop in her own desolate world. After obtaining the memories he wanted, Yi Qinghan also understood Lu Ning. He didn't have much hatred towards her. She was willing to give up her defense and let him enter her sea of consciousness to tamper with her memories. This was very beneficial to him. Moreover, with his current situation, it was almost impossible to kill Lu Ning. Even if he killed her, his identity would be exposed. Yi Qinghan used the soul of a great marshal revered to erase Lu Ning's memories of him and tamper with part of her memories. She could only recover them after she reached the Dao revered realm. Lu Ning was drowsy and had no more strength to resist. Finally, she leaned against a big tree and sank into oblivion. Her eyebrows were tightly knitted and occasionally relaxed. She lost some of her heroic spirit and gained some tenderness. Yi Qinghan helped her heal the wound on her neck. Sensing that there was no danger around, he quietly left the forest. In the dark night, Yi Qinghan's mind was in a mess. Tonight, he received some good news and some bad news. Looking up at the dense starry clouds and the cold wind, his sorrowful figure swayed in the cold wind. He stepped into Huayun City and quickly rushed to the courtyard. The courtyard was brightly lit. Qin Shi was kneeling on the ground and didn't dare to move. Qin Haoren was standing in front of him with his head held high. Qin Ying's face was solemn. He didn't have any intention of letting Qin Shi stand up. Now that it was winter, the temperature of the ground was extremely low. Qin Shi was weak. He allowed the cold air to enter his body but didn't dare to refute Qin Ying. "My son, serve Mr. Yi well. Do you understand?" Qin Ying said coldly. "I understand." Qin Shi replied respectfully. "Your brother was muddle-headed and did something wrong. Don't take it to heart. I've already taught him a lesson at home. When Mr. Yi comes back, you can talk to him and see if he can teach your brother a thing or two." Qin Ying said matter-of-factly. He didn't care about Qin Shi feelings at all. "Teach your sister. Qin Shi, get up. Otherwise, I'll expel you from the sect on behalf of the master." The parrot was furious. It looked at the pair of bastards in front of it and wanted to burn them to death. "Bastard, you're just a bastard. You dare to order me around? Today, I'll spare your life for Mr. Ye's sake. If you dare to talk back, I'll pull out your tongue." Qin Ying's aura erupted and suppressed the parrot. How could the parrot be a match for an expert at the peak of the third step of Grotto Heaven Realm? It was forced back several steps by the aura. But today, it actually stood firm and didn't back down. "Qin Shi, stand up. If you don't stand up, I'll get angry." The parrot angrily scolded. "You dare. Disobeying grandfather's orders will result in you being expelled from the Qin clan." Qin Haoren coldly looked at Qin Shi and disdainfully warned him. From the beginning, he looked down on this blind Qin Shi. Qin Ying didn't say anything, but his attitude was clear. Qin Shi body trembled. The cold air coming from his knees made him frown. He struggled for a while, but in the end, he didn't dare to stand up. "Fuck, I'm going to die from anger. You bastards, when the master comes back, he'll definitely beat you to death." The parrot was flustered and exasperated. It spat out a mouthful of flames onto the ground, raising the temperature of the surroundings. Qin Shi finally felt a bit better. Mr. Yi only took pity on him. If he was willing to accept me as his disciple, I'd definitely be 10,000 times better than this blind man." Qin Haoren's arrogance soared to the heavens. He seemed to consider himself an insufferably arrogant genius. When Yi Qinghan was 100 meters away from the monastery, he suddenly sensed 2 additional soul fluctuations. He couldn't help but frown. Summoning his heavy berserk saber, he crossed dozens of meters with a single step and broke through the door. Seeing Qin Shi kneeling on the ground, he was immediately enraged. "Stand up for me." Yi Qinghan's eyes emitted a cold flame. His battle robes fluttered and his long hair wildly danced. The momentum of the world around him froze. His hoarse voice contained a supreme will, as if even the heavens couldn't go against it. Seeing Yi Qinghan return, Qin Shi immediately regained his backbone. He supported himself with the zither in his bosom and stood up. His legs were sore. It was obvious that he had been kneeling for a long time. He staggered and almost fell down. Yi Qinghan was both angry and in pain. He coldly looked at Qin Ying, not bothering to hide his killing intent. He angrily shouted, "Qin Ying, I'm giving you face. Do you think you can humiliate my people?" Murderous intent rose from all directions in the monastery. The icy cold aura caused the water in the lotus pond to quickly freeze. It was so cold that it was suffocating. Qin Haoren's face paled as he repeatedly retreated. He didn't dare to look directly at Yi Qinghan. Qin Ying's expression suddenly changed. This was the first time he had been insulted like this. How could his mood be good? "Mr. Yi, I respect you. You're too arrogant. This old man wants to teach a descendant of the Qin clan. This is my right." Don't say that I want him to kneel, even if I want him to die, he can't refuse. Qin Ying coldly said. Kikik, the veins on Yi Qinghan's entire body bulged. He tightly gripped his heavy wild saber, emitting a cold light in all directions. Remember, Qin Shi Huang is my disciple. He doesn't need you to discipline him. If you dare to speak out of turn and anger me, it won't do you any good. Yi Qinghan strongly warned. Yi Qinghan, for a blind person and a little girl at that, you want to fall out with me and end our cooperation? Qin Ying's aura suddenly changed as he coldly questioned. Little girl? Yi Qinghan glanced at Qin Shi Huang. He wasn't too surprised. After all, Qin Shi Huang's personality was too similar to a little girl's. So what if she's a little girl? She'll eventually step into the 9 heavens and look down on all living things. She'll become an eternal emperor. Yi Qinghan disdainfully looked at Qin Ying and coldly said, since you look down on Qin Shi Huang so much, then I'll buy her out today. I won't want the remaining spirit crystals from the sale of the 5th grade martial technique, cloud flipping palm. I'll buy this little girl. From today onwards, Qin Shi Huang will no longer be called Qin Shi Huang. He'll be called Emperor Yi and will no longer have any relationship with your Qin clan. Are you serious? The cloud flipping palm will completely belong to the Qin clan and the Qin clan won't owe you any more spirit crystals? Qin Ying was overjoyed. A blind cripple, and a little girl at that, in exchange for the 5th grade martial technique, cloud flipping palm, was simply great news. Yes, so Qin Shi Huang will no longer be Qin Shi Huang. He'll be Emperor Yi. If any of you dare to order him around, don't blame me for being impolite. Yi Qinghan coldly warned. Good. Qin Shi Huang? No. Emperor Yi will no longer have any relationship with my Qin clan. My Qin clan also won't owe Mr. Yi any more spirit crystals. As for the remaining cooperation, I think it's better if Mr. Yi doesn't end it. After all, this old man doesn't want to fall out with you. You don't want that either, right? Qin Ying coldly smiled and lightly asked. Yi Qinghan disdainfully smiled. There was no need to cooperate with such a clan. It was not safe to leave Yi Mingxi and the others in the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. He could only choose to cooperate with someone else, and it had to be someone smart. No need. Qin Ying, leave Qin Haoren here. Go to Qingzhou and personally bring Yi Mingxi and the others here. If I don't see them tomorrow, you will regret it. Yi Qinghan resolutely shouted. Qin Ying's expression changed. He didn't think that asking Qin Shi Huang to kneel would cause such a big reaction from Yi Qinghan. He didn't even hesitate to end the cooperation and fall out with him. Yi Qinghan, do you want to fall out with this old man? Qin Ying questioned. I won't fall out with you, but I hope you won't play any tricks. These are useless against me. If Yi Mingxi and the others die, your Qin clan will have 100 direct descendants buried with them. If all 3 of them die, your Qin clan will cease to exist. I will do what I say. If you don't believe me, you can try. Yi Qinghan's aura exploded. His Grand Martial Saint's soul pressed down on Qin Ying. His battle intent soared to the heavens. The domineering aura caused Qin Ying's expression to change. Chapter 86. Yi Qinghan's eyes were like torches as a cold light flashed through his eyes. The 7-foot heavy spear in his hand could freeze a person's heart. Qin Ying's expression was solemn. He didn't think that Yi Qinghan would actually fall out with him over a blind person. He didn't know what to do for a moment. What? You want to fight me? Qin Ying, I'll say the ugly words first. If you obediently stop cooperating with me, I might even give you some benefits in the future for the sake of my son. Otherwise, let's see if I can destroy both of you. Yi Qinghan warned coldly. Mr. Yi, why do you have to do this? Even if Qin Shi Huang's talent is extraordinary, so what? In the end, he's still a blind person. Is his talent better than Haoren's? Is his potential even greater? Qin Ying disdainfully retorted. Yi Qinghan sneered, speechless. If Qin Haoren's trash talent could be compared to the zither immortal scarlet demon physique, then that would be too laughable. Qin Haoren's talent wasn't even fit to carry Qin Shi Huang's shoes. I have no fate with him. Since you think Qin Haoren still has value in nurturing, then bring Yi Mingxi and the others here. With your speed, you should be able to return by tomorrow morning. Yi Qinghan didn't want to say more. Qin Ying was helpless. He really didn't dare to fall out with Yi Qinghan right now. Yi Qinghan was too strange in his heart. Perhaps it was the premonition of this old fox that he didn't dare to offend? Alright, my Qin clan is willing to be friends with Mr. Yi. Today, this old man was impulsive. In order to express my apologies, I'll bring Yi Mengxi and the others here. Qin Ying bitterly smiled and turned to leave with Qin Haoren. Leave Qin Haoren behind. Yi Qinghan looked disdainfully at everyone, his will reaching the heavens. Grandfather, I don't want to stay. Qin Haoren's face was deathly pale as he begged in a low voice. Haoren, you stay. Perhaps you can have a chat. Qin Ying said in a low voice. Since Qin Ying had spoken, Qin Haoren did not dare to disobey. He could only watch as Qin Ying soared into the sky and disappeared without a trace. The energy in the private courtyard was a bit eerie. Qin Haoren couldn't sit still and kept glancing at the Qin Emperor and Yi Qinghan. Qin Haoren, if you dare to run around, I will break your legs. Yi Qinghan looked at Qin Haoren with disdain. He couldn't help but feel speechless at Qin Ying's eyes. This kind of trash could actually be compared to the immortal Zither Crimson Demon physique. For Qin Haoren, he actually used Qin Huang as a scapegoat. Yi Qinghan, don't go too far. Qin Haoren was dissatisfied with Yi Qinghan's arrogant attitude. What can you do if I go overboard? Yi Qinghan asked disdainfully. Qin Haoren was speechless. Qin Shihuang's face was flushed red. At this moment, it was hard to tell whether she was happy or sad. She had no status in the Qin clan, but in the eyes of Yi Qinghan, he was willing to use a 5th-grade martial technique to buy her. This was the difference. My son, in the future, no one can make you kneel or order you. Do you understand? Yi Qinghan said coldly. I understand, master. Qin Shihuang nodded solemnly. He was extremely happy. Carry these 4 swords on your back and never let them leave your body. Yi Qinghan gave the 4th-grade spiritual sword set to Qin Shihuang. These 4 swords were priceless. They were built with a top-grade spiritual array, allowing people to achieve twice the result with half the effort. Thank you, master. Qin Shihuang was extremely respectful. His heart was completely leaning towards Yi Qinghan and not the Qin clan. Go and find Lu Outyin. Tell him that I want to talk business with him. Yi Qinghan looked at the parrot and said indifferently. The parrot didn't say anything and disappeared into the night sky. Qin Shihuang returned to his room alone to cultivate. Only Yi Qinghan and Qin Haoren were left staring at each other. In the end, Qin Haoren didn't have enough momentum and could only hide to the side, staying far away from Yi Qinghan. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Lu Outyin knew that Yi Qinghan wanted to talk business with him. He didn't even have time to wear his shoes and directly rushed out of the relay station, heading straight for the courtyard. Haha, brother Qinghan, Outyin knew that you wanted to talk business with me. I'm so happy that I dressed too impolitely. Please don't take offense. Lu Outyin laughed and stepped into the courtyard. He couldn't help but feel curious when he saw that Qin Haoren was also here. Yi Qinghan smiled indifferently. He chose to talk business with Lu Outyin because he saw that Lu Outyin was smart enough. He knew that this kind of person wouldn't make a wrong decision. So brother Qin is also here. You guys are? Lu Outyin asked in surprise. So it's brother Lu. I'm here. Qin Haoren was embarrassed. He coughed dryly and wanted to explain. However, Yi Qinghan suddenly exploded and punched the back of his head. Bang! Qin Haoren fell to the ground. He didn't even have time to make a sound before he was knocked unconscious by Yi Qinghan. Lu Outyin. Brother Yi, what are you doing? Lu Outyin broke out in cold sweat. Yi Qinghan was definitely the first person to use such a violent method to treat a direct descendant of the Qin clan. Nothing much. Just let him sleep for a while. Yi Qinghan said indifferently. He stepped into the pavilion and gestured for Lu Outyin to sit down. The two sat opposite each other. Lu Outyin impatiently asked, Brother Yi, what kind of business do you want to talk about with me? It's very simple for you. Help me protect 3 people, 3 women. It's a very simple job. However, the reward I'll give you is something you can't even dream of. Yi Qinghan said indifferently. Protect 3 women? Poor they. Lu Outyin didn't ask about the reward. This was where he was smart. He felt that Yi Qinghan wasn't simple. Thus, it would be better to be on good terms with him than to have a one-time reward. My mother, my sister, and a personal maid named Jian Chinshua. Protect them for 3 years and I'll give you a grade 5 martial technique. Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. The courtyard was deathly silent. Lu Outyin was stunned by a grade 5 martial technique. It wasn't that he wasn't calm, but that he couldn't calm down. There wasn't a grade 5 martial technique in the entire Owl Falling Star. A grade 5 martial technique was enough to make ancient Lulan a peerless empire and unify the entire Owl Falling Star. What did you say? Grade 5 martial technique? Just to protect them for 3 years? Lu Outyin couldn't understand and couldn't believe it. Yes, you didn't hear wrong. It's a grade 5 martial technique. You use a sword? Yi Qinghan asked in a low voice. Yes, I use a sword. But why did you choose me? With this kind of reward, you can find experts in the 4th step of the Grotto Heaven realm or even the Fate Palace realm, right? Lu Outyin couldn't react in time and asked excitedly. I looked for you because you're a smart person. From the moment you appeared, I've been observing you. You have ancient Lulan as your backing. No one would be willing to attack ancient Lulan's crown prince's residence for 3 women's lives. Secondly, you're a cautious person. You won't be rash and greedy like others. Thirdly, I feel that you're a person I can get along with. Maybe we'll be friends in the future, Yi Qinghan replied in a low voice. Lu Outyin took a deep breath and swallowed his saliva. His hands were trembling. A grade 5 martial technique was too attractive to him. Good. Thank you, Brother Yi, for thinking so highly of me. I'm not a greedy person. With a grade 5 martial technique, I have the confidence to step into the endless universe. There's no need to rely on greed to gain glory. As for your mother and sister's safety, I guarantee that no one will harm them. Their status in the Crown Prince's residence is the same as mine, Lu Outyin stood up and guaranteed. It seems like you trust me a lot. Then you don't mind giving your sea of consciousness to me for a moment, right? I'll pass the memories of the martial technique to you. Yi Qinghan stared at Lu Outyin and asked in a low voice. Lu Outyan's breathing stagnated. Normally, cultivators wouldn't give their sea of consciousness to others unless they had a special trust. Giving one's sea of consciousness to others was equivalent to giving one's life to others. The two looked at each other and remained silent for a long time. Lu Outyin struggled for a while and decided to take a risk. This was the respect between experts. People like Yi Qinghan disdained to play tricks. No problem. But before that, I'll make a vow. I, Lu Outyin, will fulfill my promise to Brother Yi and protect Brother Ye's mother and sister. If I go against my vow, my Tao heart will shatter and I'll fall into hell, never to rise again. Lu Outyin raised his hand and made the vow. He triggered the power of the heaven and earth contract, causing a ray of light to flash and rush into his sea of consciousness. Yi Qinghan nodded his head in satisfaction. He passed the memories of the Great Cycle Sword technique to Lu Outyin. However, he didn't pass on his cultivation experience. Even if Lu Outyan's talent wasn't bad, he would still need 3 to 5 years to achieve results. By that time, he wouldn't need to rely on others anymore. A memory that didn't belong to Lu Outyin flowed out from his sea of consciousness. He saw an illusory figure continuously cultivating a terrifying sword technique in his sea of consciousness. It triggered the phenomenon of the universe, piercing through the blue dome of heaven with a single sword strike, cutting through the 9 heavens, reversing the universe and evolving an illusory reincarnation Grand Tao. The heaven and earth were filled with corpses and bones. He couldn't help but feel apprehensive. What a powerful sword technique. It actually has the aura of reincarnation. No wonder it's called the Great Cycle Sword technique. Lu Outyin was incomparably excited. Many thanks for Brother Ye's generous gift. I'll remember this favor. I'll entrust my life to you in the future. Lu Outyin cupped his fist and said, No need to thank me. This martial technique is useless to me. There's no harm in giving it to you as a reward. Yi Qinghan said indifferently. He glanced at the unconscious Qin Haoren and reminded him, I advise Brother Lu not to expose this before you reach the fourth sword of the Great Cycle Sword technique. This includes your clansman and Emperor Father. Otherwise, you'll bring a fatal disaster to yourself. Many thanks for Brother Ye's reminder. Today's matter, only the heavens and earth, only you and I will know. It will definitely not reach the ears of a third person. Lu Outyan's eyes shone with a different kind of light. No one knew the value of a fifth-grade martial technique better than him. Come pick him up tomorrow morning. After Yi Qinghan sent Lu Outyan off, he tied Qin Haoren up and threw him to the side. He returned to his room to cultivate. He was preparing to create a fifth-grade martial technique that belonged to him. He was also preparing for tomorrow's auction. He wanted to obtain some treasures that were suitable for him. In the middle of the night, Qin Haoren woke up from the cold. He discovered that his qi was sealed and his body was tied up like a dumpling. He was hung in the pavilion. His face was ashen. His hatred for Yi Qinghan had reached its peak. Yi Qinghan, don't give me a chance. Otherwise, I'll make you wish you were dead. Qin Haoren roared in his heart. The veins on his body bulged. A gust of cold wind blew past, causing his body to shiver. Chapter 87. It was a cold autumn morning. Frost covered the ground with a white veil. Qin Haoren's qi was sealed. He could not circulate his ethereal force to warm himself up. His body was shivering, his face was pale, and his lips were turning purple. Hey young man, you're quite angry. Why don't you come in and have a seat in such cold weather? The parrot ran into the courtyard and looked at Qin Haoren. Qin Haoren exhaled a mouthful of white mist and stared at the parrot ferociously. He finally realized how despicable the parrot was. Yi Qinghan, you despicable man, you will get your retribution. I will pay for the humiliation I suffered today. Qin Haoren roared and struggled crazily. His wrists were bleeding from the rope. Idiot, you only know how to shout. Are you cold now? Shall I set you on fire to warm you up? The parrot said with disdain. Kikik, Qin Haoren gritted his teeth. He was cold and angry. The anger in his eyes almost burned the sky. He was the eldest son of the Qin family. Since when had he been humiliated like this? At this moment, Qin Shi Huang walked out like a snow lotus blooming in winter. She was elegant, holy, and fairy-like. Since she was young, she was asked by Qin Ying to show up as a boy. He did not allow her to dress as a girl or reveal her identity. Qin Shi Huang compromised in order to gain some familial affection. Unfortunately, what she got in return was not familial affection, but greedy demands. Yi Qinghan made her feel safe. It was the first time she wore female clothes that she had prepared for more than a year. She looked so fresh and natural. Despicable woman. You ungrateful wretch. The Qin family raised you. You didn't even say a word when you saw your own brother being hung here. Are you still human? Qin Haoren scolded angrily. You're even more shameless than me. Why didn't you tell her that you're her brother when you asked her to kneel down? You're really asking for a beating. The parrot was furious. It finally found someone more shameless than it. However, it was not happy at all. Instead, it got even angrier. It spat out a mouthful of fire and drowned Qin Haoren. Qin Haoren finally understood what it was like to be on fire and ice. 1 second he was frozen to death, and the next second he was burned by fire. A shrill scream pierced through the sky and reached the depths of the universe. Countless green birds were startled and flew away. Serves you right, slut. Anyone who is more slutty than me should die. The parrot was indignant. It wanted to spit out another mouthful of fire, but it was stopped by Qin Shi Huang. Divine bird, forget it. After all, he is the eldest son of the Qin clan. If you burn him to death, the Qin clan will not let you off. Qin Huang said gently. His voice was even more beautiful than the sound of the zither. Bang! The rope that bound Qin Haoren was burned off, and he fell from the sky. His body twitched as he fell, and the burnt smell spread far and wide. The parrot looked at Qin Haoren, who was still twitching and screaming, and said disdainfully, "Little bastard, if you dare to spout any more nonsense, I'll turn you into a barbecue." Yi Qinghan walked out of the room and took a look at the miserable Qin Haoran. He merely smiled coldly and did not blame him. Seeing that the Qin emperor looked so otherworldly despite being a woman, he nodded and said, "Be yourself in the future." "Yes, master." The Qin emperor smiled, causing the world to lose its color, as if flowers were blooming in spring. The sky gradually brightened, but Qin Ing still had not arrived. Yi Qinghan glanced at Qin Haoran coldly, causing him to feel as if he had fallen into an ice cave. Lu Outyan brought 2 powerful Dao protectors to pick up Qin Haoran early in the morning. He was still in a state of excitement. "Brother Yi, I'm here. When can you pick him up?" Lu Outyan saw the miserable Qin Haoran the moment he entered the room. His heart trembled. He knew that he must not offend Yi Qinghan. Otherwise, he might end up worse than Qin Haoran. "Very soon. I believe Qin Ing will not disappoint me." Yi Qinghan was incomparably cold. A cold aura gushed out from his eyes and froze the surroundings. As expected, Qin Ing personally drove a chariot formed by a third-grade flying demonic beast, the bloodthirsty eagle, across the sky. He traveled 10,000 miles in a single day and used a single night to rush to Flaming Cloud City. It seemed like he still had a high opinion of Qin Haoran. Yi Qinghan raised his eyes and looked at the sky. He saw the bloodthirsty eagle streaking across the sky as fast as lightning, wanting to break through the shackles. He took a deep breath and broke Qin Haoran's sealed qi with a snap of his finger. He said coldly, "Change your clothes and tidy yourself up before coming out." Qin Haoran struggled to stand up. He looked at Yi Qinghan, the parrot, and the Qin emperor with a venomous expression. He wished he could devour their flesh and blood. However, he didn't dare to say anything now. He rushed into a room and quickly changed his clothes. He washed his burnt face and walked out in a panic. When he saw Qin Ing descending on the flying chariot, he was so excited that he almost cried. Yi Mingxi knew that she would be able to see Yi Qinghan today. She was even more excited. She stretched out her little head and looked around in the sky. The moment she landed on the ground, she threw herself at him. "Brother, I missed you so much." Yi Mingxi's body was like a sharp sword as she sped past the courtyard. It was as if she was reversing time. An afterimage flashed past the courtyard and in the blink of an eye, she threw herself into Yi Qinghan's embrace. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. They couldn't help but marvel at her fast speed. Looking closely, they saw that she was only a 5 or 6-year-old little girl. They were even more shocked. Bitter Sea Stage. 5-year-old Bitter Sea Stage. Behind Lu Aoyan, old Shui's eyes flashed and he almost fell to the ground. "What? 5-year-old Bitter Sea Stage?" Lu Aoyan's eyes were filled with suspicion. Looking at Yi Mingxi, he suddenly felt that he had lived on a dog's body for the past 20 years. "Oh, little master, you only have master in your eyes. Can't you see that this divine bird is also here?" The parrot had a strange smile on its face. It opened its wings and made a hugging posture. Divine bird, hug. Yi Mingxi was extremely happy. She reached out and hugged the parrot. She discovered that the parrot had become as fat as a ball. Its body was about the same size as her. She couldn't help but dislike it. "Divine bird, how did you become so fat?" "Cough cough, I'm on a diet. In half a year, I'll be a mighty divine bird." The parrot laughed embarrassedly. Yi Qinghan looked at the pair of buffoons and smiled gently. He walked towards the door and personally welcomed Wang Shi. "Mother, how are you doing in the Qin family?" Yi Qinghan gave Wang Shi a hug. Looking at her, who was still as old as before, his heart couldn't help but ache. He didn't expect that he couldn't buy the face restoration pill on Owl Fall Star. "Good. The Qin family is very good to us. As long as you are safe, Mother can rest assured." Wang Shi looked at Yi Qinghan. She couldn't get enough of him. A mother would be worried when a son travels 1,000 miles. No matter how strong Yi Qinghan became, Wang Shi's worry would only become stronger. Yi Qinghan felt Wang Shi's worry and felt warmth in his heart. He held Wang Shi's withered hand and looked at Jian Chenxue. He smiled and said, "Chenxue, I'll have to trouble you to take care of me these days." "You're welcome. It's what I should do. Moreover, Meng Shi and I are fated to be together." I'm very happy with her and I've improved very quickly. Now that I've broken into the Bitter Sea realm, I should thank her. Jian Chenshue smiled faintly. Qin Ying had a helpless expression. He was very unwilling to terminate the cooperation with Yi Qinghan. Especially when he saw Lu Outyin coming to take over, he felt even more pained. When he looked at Qin Shi again, his eyes flashed with gentleness. My son, I've wronged you all these years. The Qin family has wronged you. I hope you won't take it to heart. I've thought about it all night. After all, I was wrong all these years. I'm willing to make up for it. Therefore, I've decided to give you 40% of the property rights of the Lingbao Pavilion. From now on, Qin Ying said seriously. Great-grandfather? Qin Haoran's expression changed drastically. He was extremely unwilling and wanted to stop him. Shut up. You can't change my decision. Qin Ying scolded coldly. However, Yi Qinghan did not buy it. He did not care about the property of the Lingbao Pavilion. There's no need. Don't forget that my son has already been bought out by me. It has nothing to do with the Qin family. I'll make up for the lack of childhood. You don't have to worry about it. Yi Qinghan coldly rejected Qin Ying's goodwill. Mr. Yi? Qin Ying's expression did not change. He did not expect Yi Qinghan to be so resolute. There's nothing more to say. You can leave now. We're going to attend the auction. Yi Qinghan ordered them to leave coldly. He then said to Lu Outyin and the rest, let's go together. Let's see what's going to be auctioned this year that attracted so many powerhouses. Mr. Yi, be careful. I heard that there are a few Fate Palace realm powerhouses here. I'll take my leave now. Qin Ying was helpless. He could only slowly make up for it and change Yi Qinghan's attitude towards him. He kindly reminded Yi Qinghan and led the unwilling Qin Haoran out of the courtyard. Burning Blood, Bitter Ocean, Heavenly Grotto, Fate Palace, Dao Sovereign, each step was a different level. There were no Dao Sovereigns on Owlfall, and even Fate Palaces were few and far between. They might not even appear once in a few years. So many people on Owlfall had forgotten about the existence of Fate Palaces. Yi Qinghan frowned. Even Paradise Realm powerhouses were difficult for him, let alone Fate Palace Realm powerhouses. Don't worry, brother Yi. Our Lulan ancestor is also a Fate Palace Realm powerhouse. He won't act recklessly. Let's go. Lu Outyin said confidently. Yi Qinghan nodded. He was thinking about how to survive a Fate Palace realm powerhouse in the most dangerous situation. The group of people walked towards the auction. With the Lulan ancestor leading the way, they were unobstructed. The auction house was not only guarded by the auction house's powerhouses, there was also a large group of Fire Qilin army outside. Everyone who could enter the auction house was either rich or respectable. Without 100,000 lower spiritual crystals, they wouldn't even be able to enter. Lu Outyin had his own private room. Yi Qinghan didn't want to reveal his identity, so he entered the private room with them. The auction house was at least a few thousand square meters. There were 4 floors that surrounded a large hall. It was like a coliseum. There were many arrays around it. Anyone who dared to act recklessly here would be killed. As soon as Yi Qinghan entered the auction house, he noticed a few faint soul auras. They were all on the 4th floor. He thought to himself, 5 Fate Palace realm powerhouses. There might be more. I wonder what level they are at. Yi Qinghan didn't dare to spread out his spiritual sense to approach the 4th floor. He was very cautious. Looking at the large group of Bitter Sea realm powerhouses sitting in the hall, he knew that treasures would be born today. Lu Ning was alone. She was unruly and unruly. Her cold appearance made people afraid to approach her. Only a few daring playboys wanted to get close, but they were stopped by the Paradise Realm elders. Lu Ning didn't bother to communicate with others and went straight to the 4th floor. The auction house staff didn't dare to stop her. It seemed that they already knew her identity. Chapter 88. There was a sea of people in the auction house. No one dared to bully others here. If they couldn't get a VIP room, they had to stay in the hall. Even those in the Grotto Heaven realm had to behave themselves. Otherwise, they would be suppressed by those in the Fate Palace realm. All the families in the Owlfall Star that were above the third rank were mobilized. In the end, the auction house had to tear down a wall and double the space inside. Only then could they squeeze in 1,000 people. Among these 1,000-odd people, even the smallest family property was above 10,000 middle grade. If they did not have such strength, they would only be spending the entrance ticket to watch the show. Lu Aoyan and Yi Qinghan sat in front of the window and looked at the people in the hall calmly. They had seen such a big event before, especially Yi Qinghan. He had seen more exaggerated auctions than this one countless times. Brother Yi, it seems like you also want to buy something good. If you don't have enough spirit crystals, you can ask me to repay your kindness. Lu Aoyan suppressed his excitement and said in a low voice, "Okay, I still have some spirit crystals with me. If I don't have enough, I will ask you." Yi Qinghan said in a serious voice. Yi Qinghan also wanted the ancient dragon bone. This bone could be fused with the arms and condensed into a dragon bone arm. It was comparable to a 5th-grade combat weapon. If there were enough materials, it could even be fused with every corner of the body. Even if he was in the Bitter Sea realm, Fate Palace realm would not be able to do anything to him. Unfortunately, Lu Ning was here for the ancient dragon bone. The spirit crystals she had could probably buy the entire Owlfall Star. With Yi Qinghan's current strength, it was impossible for him to win. Lu Ning went up to the 4th floor. A few old monsters looked at her and stood up one after another. They wanted to make friends with the princess of the Lu family. "Sit down." Lu Ning's cold eyes made them stay away. The auction officially begins. Other than bidding, no one is allowed to make a racket. Otherwise, you will be expelled from the auction. A voice filled with vicissitudes of life resounded in the auction house. It was so penetrating that it seemed to ring in everyone's ears. Yi Qinghan's eyes were sharp as he looked at the old man standing in front of the hall. He was dressed in white and emitted a powerful aura. He was in the 3rd step of the Grotto Heaven realm and was comparable to Qin Ning. Seems like the auction house's strength isn't inferior to the Qin clan. Lu Aoyan said in a low voice. No one would reveal all of their resources. The fact that the auction house is able to send a 3rd-step Grotto Heaven realm powerhouse to host the auction means that they must have a Life Palace powerhouse, Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. In the room, Lady Wang looked at Qin Shi Huang. The more she looked at him, the more satisfied she was. Yi Mingxi and Qin Shi Huang were about the same age, so they got along well quickly. Jian Chenxue also took pity on Qin Shi Huang, which gave Qin Shi Huang the kinship and friendship that he dreamed of. The parrot had a covetous look on its face. Its big eyes were fixed on the backstage of the auction house, and its little claws were trembling nonstop. "Master, I found a treasure," the parrot said excitedly. "What kind of treasure?" Yi Qinghan couldn't help but raise his eyebrows as he looked at the excited parrot. "Demon God fruit. Oh my god. I'm going to be rich. This fruit can allow me to instantly evolve to the Grotto Heaven realm. I'm going to eat it." The parrot was so excited that it rushed out of the private room without asking for Yi Qinghan's permission. It quickly disappeared into the crowd. Yi Qinghan frowned. He was a little annoyed by the parrot's impulsiveness. The demon god fruit was indeed precious. It was a treasure to the demon beasts. It was worth 100,000 mid-grade spiritual crystals, and there was no market for it. However, with so many powerhouses watching, it would be difficult to get it. It might even cause a disaster. Yi Qinghan couldn't help but worry about the bastard parrot. However, the parrot had already flown away. No one would care about the whereabouts of a bird. The auction begins. Let's welcome our auction house's most beautiful 5th-grade auctioneer, Huang Xiaoming. The old man hosting the auction blushed. Apparently, he was one of Huang Xiaoming's followers. Huang Xiaoming actually came to auction in person. The 10 mid-grade spiritual crystals were worth it. Yes, it was indeed worth it. There was an uproar in the hall. Even the powerhouses at the peak of the Grotto Heaven realm couldn't suppress it. Many people in the private rooms directly pushed open the doors and came out to make a fuss. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows and looked at the auction stage. He saw a tall and voluptuous beauty walking out. She was indeed a peerless beauty. Coupled with her hot body, seductive eyes, and the fact that she was a 5th-grade auctioneer, It was worth it for so many people to go crazy over her. Wow, beautiful sister. Yi Mingxi stretched her head and leaned against the window. She looked curiously at Huang Xiaoming, who was wearing a translucent battle robe. How beautiful! Is she more beautiful than Sister Xue? Jian Chenxue flipped her hair and said proudly, Hehe, they are all very beautiful. However, I think Sister Huang is the most beautiful. You don't have any impurities. You are very warm. Yi Mingxi was a child after all. She didn't know how to lie and spoke the truth. Jian Chenxue looked at Qin Shi Huang. Qin Shi Huang hadn't grown up yet. She was like a budding flower bud. She was so beautiful that it made people feel that she was bland. Jian Chenxue walked to the window and saw Huang Xiaoming's appearance clearly. She was indeed flawless and couldn't be picky. Yi Qinghan smiled indifferently. This kind of woman should be judged by men. He didn't expect Yi Mingxi and Jian Chenxue to be the ones to talk about her. Huang Xiaoming's appearance was more charming and enchanting. Jian Chenxue, on the other hand, was pure like snow. One had a hot body, and the other was seductive and reserved. They were evenly matched. Qin Shi Huang smiled and didn't stand up. She couldn't see even if she was near the window. She could only extend her divine sense outside the window and shroud Huang Xiaoming. She was also stunned by her hot body. Thank you for your compliments. Huang Xiaoming is very polite. Huang Xiaoming bowed slightly. The audience was quiet. Her crisp voice was like an oriole flying out of the valley. It was extremely pleasing to the ears. No one wanted to disturb her. Today, I will personally auction 108 treasures. I hope everyone will participate. I have decided to accept the invitation of 3 customers for dinner at the end of the auction, Huang Xiaoming continued. Which 3? What kind of people are qualified? Goddess, please explain. That's right. Goddess, you have to be fair. You can't just take care of the strong and ignore us, the younger generation. The crowd went crazy. Everyone wanted to get close to her and have dinner with the only 5th-grade goddess on Owl Fall Planet. At this moment, even the Life Palace mirror on the 4th floor was moved. Only Lu Ning sneered and was extremely disdainful. The first person is the one who paid the most money in today's auction. No matter how many treasures he bought, as long as he paid the most money, it's fine. What else? The second person is the one who knows the best. Among these 108 treasures, there is one that I like the most. I think it has the highest value, but it seems to be very practical. Perhaps there aren't many people bidding for it. If there is anyone who has a good eye and buys it, I'll treat him or her to supper tonight. Huang Xiaoming was indeed a 5th-grade auctioneer. The more ordinary a treasure was, the more people would fight over it. They might even find a treasure. In this area, the price of the treasures might increase by 20 to 30%. What about the third person? The third person is naturally the one who bought the final treasure. Let's cut to the chase and get back to the topic. The first auction item is a 4th-grade spiritual sword set. It's small and light, suitable for women. It has a built-in spirit-gathering formation that can change a cultivator's talent and qualifications. Cultivation will be twice the result with half the effort. This spiritual sword set is a must-have for chasing beauties. No one can resist the temptation of a spiritual sword set. If you have a goddess in your heart but can't get her, buy it. It can make your dreams come true. Huang Xiaoming took out 4 exquisite spiritual swords from a slender metal box. They were exactly the same as the spiritual swords Yi Qinghan obtained. They must have been made by the same person. As soon as the spiritual swords appeared, the surrounding spiritual qi became extremely rich. It attracted the exclamations and cheers of many women. The first treasure raised the mood to a climax. Yi Qinghan could not help but be curious. Who made this spiritual sword set? The other party should be a woman who was extremely proficient in the art of refining. He did not expect such a person to exist on Owlfall Planet. The starting bid for this 4th-grade spiritual sword set is 2,000 mid-grade spiritual crystals. Each bid increment must be no less than 100 mid-grade spiritual crystals. It's equivalent to 500 mid-grade spiritual crystals for a spiritual sword. It's very cheap. Huang Xiaoming's eyes sparkled like autumn waters, causing countless men to go crazy. This spiritual sword set is interesting. I'll buy it for Meng Shi as a greeting gift, Lu Outyin said calmly. Yi Qinghan did not refuse. Although this item was extremely valuable, not many people were willing to spend so many mid-grade spiritual crystals to please a woman. Moreover, compared to the 5th grade sword technique, the Great Reincarnation sword technique, it was a far cry. I'll pay 2,500 mid-grade spiritual crystals. Just as Huang Xiaoming finished speaking, someone called out a high price. I'll pay 2,600. I'll pay 3,000. Everyone called out crazily. Some people even raised the price by 500 to 600 mid-grade spiritual crystals at once, as if the spiritual crystals were worthless. Lu Outyin looked at the crowd who kept raising the price like mad dogs. He could not help but frown. If this continued, the price would probably rise to tens of thousands. I'll pay 8,000 mid-grade spiritual crystals, Lu Outyin said in a low voice. He increased the price by 5,000 mid-grade spiritual crystals at once, which shocked many people into silence. The hall also quieted down. 8,000 mid-grade spiritual crystals was not a small amount. Brother Hu, you promised to give it to me. I beg you, I want it. As long as you give this spiritual sword set to me, I'll agree to anything you say. A coquettish voice was extremely ear-piercing, breaking the silence. Lu Outyin's face darkened. He looked towards the hall and saw a fat man who was as fat as a pig and a delicate and enchanting woman drooling over the spiritual sword set. He could not help but feel bad. This middle-aged man who was as fat as a pig was not an ordinary person. He was a famous local tycoon on Owl Fall Planet, the head of the ancient Shen family, Shendian. His cultivation was not very high, but he controlled several spiritual crystal veins. His wealth could rival a country. This man did not have any special hobbies, except for his love of beauty. In order to woo powerful female cultivators, he spent money like water. Until now, who knew how many beautiful girls he had played with? My little darling, if you like it, I'll buy it. You must remember what you said today. Shen Dian looked at his female companion lecherously. His big hand wandered around her waist dishonestly. He then looked up at Huang Xiaoming and said straightforwardly, I'll pay 15,000 mid-grade spiritual crystals. Lu Outyin's face darkened. This slap was hard for him to accept. He had just promised to buy this level 4 spiritual sword set for Yi Mengshi. Now, someone came to cause trouble. They are tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.